Oh, are we back? Probably not. Oh, geez. Lemonies in your lovely internet. Lemonies got that fucking Starlink shit, dude. Digging for treasure? I'm adjusting the antenna in my brain so we get better Wi-Fi coverage. That's what I was doing, bro. Voice and vid out of sync. I don't know what to tell you.
Less than 3.
Less than 3? Thanks. What did you do there? Let's see. You gave a subscription, GST Ray, 5 months, 5 total, all in a row. Thank you. I hope to keep you around. Looks good to me. Yep, well, it looks good to GST Ray, and he's paying for this shit. So I don't give a fuck what you think. Bro, you ain't paying for shit. I don't give a fuck, dude. You're not a sub.
So it's a low blow, but it's a less low blow because people have...
You know, on the topic of what's within your control, I can make fun of you for being a sub or not a sub because that's well within your control, okay?
more control over it, and it passes a threshold of control where you feel justified.
The other thing as well to bear in mind, right, is that there's more context than just they've said something mean to me, so I'm going to say something mean about their view count, right? Normally, it's like if there's a level of hubris or a level of like, you know, overconfidence in their own abilities or something like that. So it's going to be contextual as to what it is that they're specifically talking about or saying in this interaction too, you know? Like I don't necessarily always attack someone for having a low view count if I'm having a disagreement or an argument with them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I spoke to this Roadman guy once on a panel, and he was like acting like the big I am, and he was going, yeah, I'm going to take over this space and all this kind of stuff. And I just brought his figures up. I'm like, this guy's got 3 viewers. Like, he's like, what the fuck's he talking about? You know, he's literally just schizo posting right now. So yeah.
Well, Roadman is a character. That dude's hilarious. I once called him. I once said he looks like a dude who would sell you some dodgy ecstasy outside of a club. I think he like plays into that character.
I don't know who the fuck.
But yeah, I don't know.
Is.
Like, I mean, I just don't think it's equivalent. I think there probably is an element of control there that maybe plays into it. Sure, maybe. Yeah.
I agree with the idea that I would rather 100% go after somebody's view count than like somebody's weight, or especially things that will never change, like potential. Well, not never. I mean, you can technically get plastic surgery, or whatever, but that's I wouldn't suggest that people just go out and do that frivolously. But like facial disfigurement or stuff like that, you know, I would definitely sooner go after something like a viewer count for the same reasons that you specifically stated. It's primarily about how much control you have over it. This is why we can go after like what you wear as well, generally speaking, because you can just change what clothes you're in. It's not that big of a deal, right?
We're sailing in the seas of logic, and I'm not a man that likes being on a boat. Let's see if we can just sail our way through these rough seas and get to a wonderful shore of some island somewhere with beautiful babes in bikinis. That's what I'm waiting for. Let's get to some progress, because I sure do hate the trip of getting there. I do not enjoy this seafaring travel on the seas of logic.
You can change what hairstyle you have for the most part. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, actually, I really don't disagree with it. I just wanted to make the point because we were talking about whether or not morally we should, whether or not it's morally bad to go after somebody's view count. And I think it's, I think it just risks devaluing people's work and saying, having the implication that their work is.
Because like what I'm frustrated with, sorry, Chud people, is that Chud isn't really addressing the thing that both IRI and Relly here have repeated about like your viewer count does not indicate whether or not you are somebody with good content. Like it doesn't. And so like, I wish that point was focused on a little bit more rather than his reasoning behind making fun of people and stuff. I think that would be fruitful grounds to embark upon, but we'll see.
It's worth less than other people's work, and I don't really like that, especially when it feels like Twitch is not as much of a meritocracy to be able to like make such a claim. It does not, yeah. There's a lot of really cool people that have very low viewers, and you know I don't want them to get caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, so I guess you're saying
3 months ago I was one of them too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying is like it's that classic concern of by mocking someone for having a low viewer count, are people who also have low viewer counts getting caught in the crossfire of that? And And I guess it's like, well, yeah, but you could say that of so many insults that you might throw out, you know? And it just feels like if you police it to that level, there's so much you'd have to avoid saying because you might end up upsetting someone.
And we go back to the slippery slope thing, which I kind of find to be an annoying cop-out, but I don't know. Maybe now that we have the god of logic himself irrelevant in here, maybe we will get past this hurdle that we were not able to under Rhizome's leadership of the conversation, nor under IRI's. So let's see if we can summit this mountain. Come on, Relly. Come on, Relly. Push on this.
You know?
My thing is, I don't care about catching people in the crossfire who are getting caught in the crossfire for the reasons that, like, I'm critiquing the person. So if I say some conservative is an idiot for being a transphobe,
We're not going there.
who am I catching in the crossfire here? Conservatives who are transphobes. I don't really care about that, catching those people in the crossfire. But if I say this conservative who's a transphobe is an idiot and he's, a fat loser, I'm like, okay, well, now it feels like people who are overweight are getting caught in the crossfire just for being overweight. It's because it's like that's the first insult that I'm jumping to. Okay. I think I don't disagree that catching people in crossfire, you're ultimately gonna catch a bunch of people in crossfire, and there's whole jokes about it, like how we say this guy's probably a weeb and stuff like that, where we
like I had hoped we would go one direction, but this is fine too. I think solidifying this other point is good, in making more progress on it, making sure maybe we close that one up. That's totally good as well.
Catch like all weebs in the crossfire, and that's the joke, because like weebs are losers because they are. But
those are fighting words, really.
Hey, listen, I will fight over them.
Please cut the drama. I am so tired. Rick, 1980. I think you were the one that donated for the oral arguments podcast that we wanted to listen to. So here's what I'll do. The reason I continued this is because Chud people jumped in. Wouldn't have really happened otherwise. So here's what I'll do for you. I will put a restriction. And I'm going to disappear this one because fuck this donation goal. Holy fuck. Thank God. I will create a new goal. I will give this on my phone. I'm stuck between 5 and 10. Let's go 7.5. I'll give it 7.5 minutes. If we hit...
Smell, all right. Ooh, wafting,
thank you, Zatcha.
Wafting. Oh, everyone likes their own brand, don't they? This is magic.
What kind of streamer is that?
Analysis.
Analysis incomplete. I don't know who the fuck Zatchep is, but welcome. We're listening to a debate. I review debates, at least in my part time. In my main time, I talk about IRL and traveling. I'm in a different country every month, so that's plenty of fun. Welcome, welcome. Lots of emotes, a very active chat. Basically, in this conversation, we're having to talk about, should you make fun of a streamer for their view count? Is that fair? Is that on the table? Or should we generally discourage people from doing that? And I think that we're getting pushed more in the direction of generally discouraging that. I think it should be discouraged. I think it hurts like people growing and stuff like that. I don't think it's like a fair criticism to make of people in most cases, right? Unless you see one of those YouTubers that sells you on how to get to 100 viewers or something like that, and they're sitting here at 13, then maybe those people for sure, right? But just in general, it's not good. And a point that the guy we're listening to right now is making is, even in that case where you make fun of that 13 viewer Andy for making a YouTube video about like, hey, here's how you get 100 viewers. Even in that case, by going hard on people that have 13 viewers, by going hard on people that have a smaller view count, you're catching other people in the crossfire. Maybe I'm a streamer that started at 0. I didn't do any networking. I literally just told my friends, family, coworkers, and stuff about my stream. And I finally, after 6 months, got it up to 13. And I'm feeling real fucking good. That's huge growth for me. I have an active chat, wonderful people. We're building a culture. Sometimes it gets as high as 20, and you're making fun of that person for their low view count. And you make a bunch of jokes about them for their low view count. Well, you're catching somebody in the crossfire that you perhaps didn't intend to. So that's the argument being put forward by the guy we're listening to right now. However, we may not be listening to this for much longer. So if you're hoping for something else, you might be interested in the podcast we listen to after this, which is about oral arguments and arguments in general from the most recent Supreme Court case that's been in the headlines. I'm setting a timer for 7.5 minutes. Chud people, I'm gonna fucking milk you. I'm gonna milk you, or I'm gonna slap your behind and get you out of my fenced property. Because if you don't got milk in you, I don't care. 7.5 minutes. If we hit $50, I'll keep listening. Otherwise, I'm going to switch to the podcast because this is kind of boring and I'm kind of over it, honestly. It's we're looping. So set a timer for 7.5 minutes. It is set. Timer is running. That is money on the clock, Chud people. Otherwise, we will move on because this is kind of boring.
But the thing I guess is like, I think that like, you know, you could easily argue that calling someone a weeb could genuinely be upsetting to people,
Sure,
and it could mean that they, you know, revert back on their hobby because of it and they quit doing it. So, you know, I guess I'd ask IRI, do you think that we should stop insulting people?
You're an educational streamer talking soil, fertility, plants, far lefty politics. I know of you, but haven't been here much at all. Well, I'm happy to have you. And I'm happy that your nice comment is giving me the opportunity to get that fucking clock ticket without having to listen to more of this conversation. I'm happy to have you here. Your emotes seem cool. You seem cool if you know of me and don't hate me. Nowadays, there aren't a lot of those people around. No, I'm kidding, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for the raid.
People for, like, say, their hobbies, you know, as a way of mocking them or making fun of them, because it might end up pushing them away from their hobby.
Well, I think in general, we should try to avoid mocking people in general.
So you're saying be more nice. Why can't you just admit that you're saying be more nice?
Of course.
I don't understand.
Of course I'm saying that. That's
fine.
Of course I'm saying that.
I know, but earlier you trying to avoid it, but that's what you're
No.
doing, and that's fine, but I don't want to be more nice, and then that's where it ends.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. If I really was concerned about this, I would have gone to you personally and said, hey, Chud, what's going on here? And talked to you about it. I just brought it up on the panel. But you're trying to act like because you can't mock someone for their view count, well, now I can't make fun of anyone for anything. I mean, listen to what your argument, Chud. You totally understand.
God, I really hope that after IRI points this out and fights against it, that we do get fucking Relly to jump in here and tackle that, because of all people, we haven't had success with the other two tackling it. Hopefully Relly can fucking dig in here and do something about it, dude.
You can't make fun of someone's appearance. You're fine with that. You know, no one's got to convince you of that. You're like, yeah, I think it's good to do that. You shouldn't make fun of someone for their alcoholism or drug use. You're fine. But and as soon as I say, well, what about this other thing? You're like, oh, now I can't make fun of anyone for anything at all. They wear a weird hat. I can't make fun of them for their anime.
No. You're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding. I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to highlight to you. You know,
you just said that.
I'm trying to highlight to you that there's a flaw in the way that you're looking at this.
Everything.
Okay, you can keep talking over if you want, right?
Can I bridge that gap there?
Yes.
Oh, thank fucking Lord. Rabid Wombat, I have to say I'm enjoying your personal stream content more than the conversations I've seen you have on other people's channels. It's been a pleasant surprise. Yeah, I'm not a very good person on other people's channels. It's kind of rough. Yeah, I'm probably better on my own. Maybe that's something I should keep in mind. Do more solo content. That's the direction we're headed into. I mean, the collab content I enjoy doing is of people that are not in this space. So.
Please do.
Okay, I think what he's trying to say is that my school of thought, and I think IRI, you share a bit of my school of thought on this, is that our school of thought is going to have significant overlap with other things like the weeb comment, where we're going to catch people in the crossfire, and we're just going to have to end up drawing a line the same way Chud is at a specific spot where it's like okay to make fun of somebody because they're a fan of the Mets. You know, it's okay to make fun of the Mets fans and okay to do this, and Chud just draws his line at a different spot. He draws his line at a spot that allows for a more edgy world. He believes in a world that can stand up on its own with like edgier comedy or making fun of people for things that we may believe are perhaps off limits or just something that might hit home a little bit harder for people. And that's he thinks.
So rather than pushing back on like this slippery slope that is the problem IRI mentioned, that is the problem that I think is happening with what Chud is saying here, Relly taking the more diplomatic route. Don't attack Chud on that. Instead, zoom out, talk about this difference of opinion, this difference in what they want to do with their content, this difference in worldview, and really solidify that to try to get IRI to let go. I mean, it's not the way I would want to do it, but it is a way to kind of solve this and get IRI to let go, I suppose.
That people can, you know, live and be productive and normal people while still being insulted every once in a while if they feel like they want to say that they're king of all shit, that hey, listen bro, you got 15 viewers and you're acting like you're goddamn, you know, Jesus Christ on Twitch, you know. And he thinks that, you know, you can go home and still live a productive life while doing that, and he wants to set that standard. Talk shit, get hit. I think that's a fine standard to set, and I think, you know, IRI, your standard to set is perfectly fine. I think my standard to set is perfectly fine. We just have different lines in the sand where we're drawing it. And I feel like the arguments that we've made feel like that's it, really. You know?
Well, I enjoyed this. IRI, I hate you. No, I'm just kidding. It was a good conversation. I enjoyed arguing with you, actually.
Of course, I don't have any bad feelings. I love you. I love everybody in here. I just this is something I care about. You know, that's all. I don't have any bad feelings towards anybody. I just. In the end, I think Rally said it very well. This is not a meritocracy here on Twitch. And a lot of people are at the top because they got better networking skills or they got involved in a drama or some shit. Like, you were just talking about Touring News not too long ago saying, oh, well, I wonder what happened to him. Like, I don't think anybody out there would be like, Touring News' content sucked. Like, was it the most interesting content in the world? Maybe no. Was it the most entertaining? Probably not. I don't think anyone would say that he was like a bad content creator. He wasn't doing good work on his stream and trying to get people involved. He had a low view count. So I think when you go around,
I gotta get in there and fucking clean my 5G antenna real quick. We're fucking, what's going on there, IRI? You're not coming through clear, bro. Oh, I got the fucking wrong kind of vaccine, bro. If a smaller streamer has flagged for PvP, then viewer count is well within the bounds. I don't know, bro. I mean, for everybody, it's going to be different, right?
and you make fun of people, and not as the crux of the argument. I understand your very specific situation that this guy was claiming that he knows how this place works, and then you point to, well, his viewer count doesn't say, which I still disagree. I think you can have 5 viewers and know exactly how this place runs and have some great ideas, and just haven't had a shot yet. I think you trample on those smaller people, and then they feel like, and maybe they go do something else with their lives instead of getting involved in a space like this, and we all lose. That's my whole point.
I mean, you know, if you can't handle a bit of heat, if this space probably isn't for you, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've been that harsh in what I've said about people. If that's going to put you off, then it's probably for the best, to be honest.
Let's just end the conversation because you're never ever convincing. I can't believe after all, like, I understand that we've made this point very, very clear on this stream, but I mean, to be fair to Chud, IRI has definitely not. So it just feels bad, man. Just feels bad, man. I don't know.
Isn't that what YMS said to you last night too, IRI, in the conversation on the panel, where if you're talking smack and you can't take it, it's probably a good, like, it's an indicator of how you might be engaged or be able to deal with this shit in the space anyways?
I don't think that's a good argument. I really don't think, because I think people grow and they learn to deal with more grief and stuff, and it doesn't separate the men from the boys, shall we say? I just think that's a bad argument. I disagree.
I think it really depends on what we're talking about, where that will be the case. Like, if we're talking about, like, Hassan building a bunker from all criticism, then, like, yeah, he probably just can't handle the heat in the kitchen. The not the heat, the fucking room temperature in the kitchen.
The legitimate criticisms in the kitchen.
Necessary things for the kitchen to operate, right? Right. There's that, and then there's something else, and then I think just maybe the difference is...
Oh, we're not gonna get a see the end of this. How sad. Let's get the fuck out of here. Fucking throw this bitch in reverse and fucking get the fuck out. I'm over this. All right. Let me get the opening arguments podcast up. I'm actually excited to listen to this. Opening arguments. Let's get there. Let us excuse ourselves from this conversation and listening to this.
The Magna Carta. Carta meaning quite literally charter, and Magna meaning Japanese animation.
Oh, come on! A good lawyer couldn't win this case.
As is vampire law, we also have a local vampire here on the council this evening, Colin Robinson.
Hello.
How is it possible that you've never heard of O.J. Simpson?
Well, as I explained, I just awoke from a 22-year coma and was driven directly from the hospital to this courthouse.
You had no idea what tort reform meant, and when I asked you to explain the Sixth Amendment, you pled the Fifth.
I know my rights.
No, you don't. That's the problem.
Welcome to Opening Arguments, a podcast that pairs a comedian with a real-life lawyer. This podcast is sponsored by the law offices of P. Andrew Torres, LLC, for entertainment purposes, is not intended as legal advice, and does not form an attorney-client relationship. Don't take legal advice from a podcast.
Hello and welcome to Opening Arguments. This is episode 593. I'm Thomas. That's Andrew. How you doing, Andrew?
Well, I can't say I'm doing fantastic, Thomas, but I am feeling energized.
Energized. Right? Oh, I love it. What if that's the new fantastic?
Maybe it is.
Energized.
Transporter noise behind that. That'll be great. You know, we recorded pretty raw on Monday night when
Was
the
the podcast thing?
opinion,
Is it
came
not on
out.
the screen?
And since then, you and
Bro?
I have had a
Are
lot
you
of time to think and a
Topeka?
lot of time to try and take that
screen,
raw
bro.
energy and focus it in a productive way. You know, we have a lot that are sort of in the works. I don't want to talk about stuff that's in the works other than to say that you and I are establishing an Opening Arguments charitable foundation. We will give you more details as that comes to fruition, but the idea is to take our expertise, our platform here, and use that to do good for folks who are victimized by what the Supreme Court not only is about to do in the next couple of weeks, but over the next couple of years. So I'm really, really excited. I know you're really, really excited about that. And,
yeah, I can't wait.
As soon as we have details, we will share that with you.
Yeah, so much to figure out, but energized. I like that. That's the appropriate thing. It's a little tough to be fantastic per se, but motivated, trying to fix things, trying to make it better. All right, so much to talk about. Also, another on the lighter side, better announcement. We do have that Q&A coming up. We're really looking forward to interacting with you folks. We could use it right now. I know I could.
Absolutely.
It'll be fun to interact with you guys. And we posted the question thread before all of this happened, and I believe it's been inundated even more than usual. So.
What is the episode number? I guess I'll put the episode number. That is actually a worthwhile ad. Here, I'll put that in. And I'll take this off as well. I mean, I'll keep the donation goal up. I don't think we're hitting that, and I don't think I necessarily want to hit that, but I'll keep it there for you. If you'd like to donate, it'd be super helpful. It definitely encourages me to keep doing drama stuff. Otherwise, not very interested. We're trying to move away from it, so unless I have good reason to financially, I don't have a good reason personally because I do not enjoy doing it. So let's see, podcast number... but yeah, so if you enjoyed today's show, definitely let me know with your $1, with your follow, with your subscribe, whatever it is, honestly. Or leave a good comment if you're on YouTube. Although YouTube VOD got split up into 4 fucking pieces. So again, not really a ton of good reasons to keep doing this. What is your mission on Twitch? To educate people, have fun, and promote, I don't know. It would be nice to make money by doing things that I like to do. It's not so much a Twitch mission as it is a general mission. And whatever I do on Twitch, I try to do it well and get better at it. So if anything, my mission is to get better at it. And what it is changes per my emotions and per what I'm feeling and per what I'm interested in. But always being better at that's something worthwhile, I think. Do you have an alt channel called Street Smarts? I want to, but why do you work here? Because I need money. Exactly. It's the same, answer as wage cucks, honestly. And if you look at the hours I spend on this, both on stream and off stream versus the money that I make, I'm more wage cucky than people being paid minimum wage. So, I mean, to each their own, I suppose. But my job's more fun. So kind of...
So we'll see. You know what? We'll see. Maybe we can go a little extra on the Q&A. We'll see. I can't. With kids, I can never fully commit to anything, but possibly, depending on how they treat me that day. We can,
you heard it here first.
Yeah.
A solid maybe.
A solid maybe. That's better than nothing. A solid maybe on that, because there's so many good questions. But make sure you go to patreon.com/law. You find that Q&A.
I don't know why my play button and pause button isn't working. Yeah, so like, how do I fund my travels with this? I do this.
Only the patrons get to ask and vote on questions, but everybody listening can come join us on YouTube, and that is Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Nice time that I think everybody can get after work, have an after work drink of your choice. Maybe it's a cocktail. Maybe it is. Join us the 10th, Tuesday, coming up. And one more reminder to please go ask those questions and also browse through the questions and vote. Hit the heart of the questions that you really want to hear, because that tells me we can never get to all of them, even if we go extra. So that tells me which ones to prioritize, which ones you guys want to hear. It's a great system. Love it. Can't wait. See you there. Okay, and Andrew, you have a couple little updates on the Handmaid's Tale-ing of our country.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of folks have asked this question. I expressed with, 99+% confidence on our Monday night bonus episode that this draft opinion was indeed. Yeah. The court has now confirmed that it is authentic. It issued a press release from the office of John Roberts that says, yesterday a news organization published a copy of a draft opinion in a pending case. Justices circulate draft opinions internally as a routine and essential part of the court's confidential deliberative work. That's true. Although the document described in yesterday's reports is authentic, it does not represent a decision by the court or a final position of any member on the issues in the case. That's also true, right? Judges will switch and go back and forth, but it's not hard to figure out at least 5 votes for this opinion. And I believe I said this on Tuesday, that this is going to be a 5-1-3 split. Right? I think John Roberts will not sign on to this opinion, but I think he will concur in the judgment that the 15-week abortion ban in Mississippi is just perfectly peachy. That will have no effect. Whether this is a 5-justice majority or a 6-justice majority will have no effect whatsoever. And then Roberts continued issuing his own statement. To the extent this betrayal of the confidences of the court was intended to undermine the integrity of our operations, it will not succeed. The work of the court will not be affected in any way.
We will undermine. No one's going to out-undermine us, but besides us.
You see, I mean, we've been saying this ever since Trump got into office, that, John Roberts cares about the fact that his name is about to be permanently affixed to the worst Supreme Court in United States history. So he continues, we at the court are blessed to have a workforce, permanent employees and law clerks alike, intensely loyal to the institution and dedicated to the rule of law. Court employees have exemplary and important traditions of respecting the confidentiality of the judicial process and upholding the trust of the court. This was a singular and egregious breach of that trust that is an affront to the court and the community of public servants who work here. I have directed the Marshal of the court to launch an investigation into the source of the leak. I include that, A, because again, if you're more outraged by the fact that the leak happened than the substance of the opinion, your priorities are messed up. But B, we've been engaged while trying not to. This sort of speculation of who was behind this.
Oh, I was trying to speculate on who's behind it. Were we trying not to? Why?
I think we were trying to, but I at least was pretending like I was above that. But, it's all rank speculation. So to me, this indicates, kind of another possibility out there. And again, I have no way of weighting any one more than any other, but it looks like Roberts believes that this is maybe a rogue clerk or employee or, somebody without the consent and possibly without the knowledge of any of the justices, which is interesting. I hadn't really considered that, because I do not think, again, I've talked about the sort of sacred bond between a judge and their clerks. I could not imagine. I would no more have leaked a draft opinion that my judge was circulating when I was a clerk than insert any activity.
Question though, was that opinion striking down a 50-year precedent in Roe v. Wade? This is...
I had to work on an opinion that essentially reinstated capital punishment in Maryland under certain conditions, and I talked about with my close family members how
could be Clarence
morally and
Thomas's
emotionally
wife. Maybe
difficult that
really
was,
excited.
and how hard I lobbied the judge to come out a different way. But I didn't leak that opinion. I wouldn't have done that. So not quite as bad, but it was still something that was a terrible opinion that I felt very, very strongly about. But the idea that I would have gone to the Baltimore Business Journal and said, "Hey, look, here's an opinion that's about to come out," no, I wouldn't have betrayed my judge like that. You could bet that John Roberts not going to be able to stop the Howler Monkey contingent from rolling roughshod on individual liberties over the next couple of decades, but he's going to find that leaker.
It's one thing if somebody who ostensibly is on the left cares about the leak, but obviously people who agree with this decision largely are going to be more concerned about the leak than the decision because they agree with the decision. I don't know what we expect Roberts to do. That's what I expect from him. I have never been more, we shouldn't spend any time on the speculation, but I've never been more could go any way on who leaked it. I wonder if we'll ever find out. At this point, a substantive thing I did want to talk about regarding the whole draft opinion thing. While it's obviously not true that, it's truly a draft and it could go either way. They could just erase all that and it could be upholding. That's not true. But how much do you think this opinion is subject to change? I mean, my understanding from all the coverage and from you and everything is you're writing a draft opinion. You basically know, you take a little head count of who's going to vote where. They get the head count and then they assign the opinion. The fact that Alito had the opinion, this is something that I don't think you and I talked about, but doesn't that mean that Roberts isn't voting for it because essentially Clarence Thomas got to assign who's writing the opinion? I heard some other legal podcast talking about that. Is that right? I want to ask you about that.
So I think that includes this.
So important context here. One of these people is a professional comedian. The other person is a professional lawyer. So we have a comedian and a lawyer. The comedian is basically like an everyman to ask the questions that a lawyer wouldn't ask, right? And the other person is meant to be a lawyer who gives their legal insights on what's going on. both of them are lefterly in their politics. They're quite lefterly. So when you hear things that kind of demonize conservative people or go hard against them or seem to be advocating for people to go one way or the other, it's not meant to be a apolitical podcast. It's definitely something where both of them express their opinions regularly. And so that's something to keep in mind when listening to this. It's definitely something that I do, and I put a filter for in my brain.
Speculation that Roberts would not assign the opinion to Alito, right?
Right.
And
Yeah, that is necessary to that. Yeah.
And I don't know that's. I don't know that we have evidence for that proposition. It certainly could be.
And the reason for that is, like, if he's not on the majority side, then the senior most justice on the majority side assigns the...
That's right.
Okay.
That's
just
right.
wanted to cover that basically. Yeah. And then my other question is, yes, it's a draft opinion, and yes, it's, you know, it's not going to change like the outcome, but will some of this extreme language by Alito, would you expect that to be softened, changed? You know, would some justices be like, all right, I'm not going to sign on to this part where you quoted the guy who had witches put to death. Like, I'm not going to, whatever the heck that was. You know, like, would you expect this opinion to be a lot more softened in its language once it was a final draft?
No, I do not expect that this will substantively change anything in the draft opinion. I'm glad you asked that as a question. The typical practice, if you can recall any of the Supreme Court decisions that we've broken down over the past couple of jump to, you know, for example, the Sotomayor dissent, and the dissent will say, the majority says, you know, that rights are dependent upon long-standing history and tradition, end of quote, and then it will say, you know, slip op at 9. Well, how did they get quoting from the majority opinion? Because they circulate these things around. And so, you know, one of the things that will often happen then is you have a little bit of that back and forth gets preserved in the opinions themselves. Sometimes it does cause the initial opinion draft to get modified slightly to remove something that is ambiguous, you know, overstated in a particular way. Right. So, for example, it would not surprise me. I went back and read because the section that I think is getting a lot of attention that I completely ignored because I don't care at all about it is the lengthy section of, you know, historical abortion laws. Yeah. And I don't care about that at all because that shouldn't be any part of the jurisprudence of whether abortion is protected inherently in the Constitution or not. So I just skipped it. A lot of people have noted, you know, these citations are misleading or incomplete or whatever. And it would not surprise me to see adjectives inserted, right? To have this go from this was absolutely prohibited at common law to differing sources talk about the level of prohibitions at common law. But by the time you don't write, and it's 98 pages counting the appendix, but you don't write 60 plus pages with all of these citations to then just come back and be like, oh no, wait, you know, we're going to massively change A, B. And this is in final form. So I think they're going to be edits maybe, but those edits will not be substantive. They may tone down a couple of the more egregious mistakes, but no.
So you would guess this is 90 something plus % finalized, you'd think?
Yeah, 99 point.
Oh, wow. I'm glad I asked because I think some of the coverage has gone, you know, a little further to the other side of that and suggested that this would be softened a bunch. So that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. All right. Well, anything else on the updates, or are we going to get to our next segment, which is more about Roe v.
More about this, right? So it kind of merges, I think. A lot of folks rightly asked us, okay, you described the jurisprudence, but what happens once this passes? What is the real effect on real people on the ground? And the answer is it depends upon which state you're in. There are, somewhat surprisingly, I guess, only 17 states right now that explicitly protect abortion either throughout the pregnancy, right? And that number is only 4 in the District of Columbia. So if you live in Colorado, New Jersey, Oregon, Vermont, or Washington, D.C., those states have either constitutional or statutory protections for the right to an abortion throughout the pregnancy. So good. If you live in one of those 5 jurisdictions. There are 12 more states that protect the right of someone who is pregnant to undertake an abortion pre-viability, before 20, 21, 22 weeks, or after post-viability if necessary to protect the life of the mother. And that grouping together is what the Guttmacher Institute classifies as protecting abortion rights. And the Guttmacher Institute is an invaluable resource on this. I'm going to link this chart from the show notes. And those 12 states are California, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Nevada, New York, Rhode Island, and Washington. So that forms the corpus list of your states that have voted to protect abortion rights. We can add to that one jurisdiction. We talked about this in opening arguments episode 276. The state of Kansas has held at the Supreme Court level that their state constitution, independent of Roe, protects the right of pregnant individuals to have an abortion. Of course, as a result of that, there was an August ballot initiative to amend the Kansas state constitution. So if you're in Kansas and you're thinking, what can I do? Organize against that ballot initiative is absolutely one of the things that you can do.
Was that the one weird trick one for saving abortion rights at a state level? Okay, the OG.
The OG on that, yeah, absolutely. That case was called Hodes and Nauser versus Schmidt, and really articulates how state Supreme Courts
and I'll talk to you guys at the end of this
protection
round.
for
Every
rights
round
that go independent of what a conservative Supreme Court is going to do. Those 17 plus
I just think that they have a lot more to say about it, and so for this in particular, for this podcast, I like to let them speak and not interrupt them, as opposed to these random debate things that we do where I feel like I make it more entertaining for a lot of my viewers than the conversation itself. So yeah, like I saw Dingo the Rex say, pass a constitutional amendment affirming the right to abortion from conception to birth, and this wouldn't happen now or ever again. Correct statement, sure. Certainly. However, you would need, what is it, a 2/3 vote at first, and then you would need a 3/4 vote in another part of the legislature. So a constitutional amendment being ratified, being proposed, that is off the fucking table. I think it's 20-something states that plan to enact restrictions on abortions now. So you're not getting that, not anytime soon. So that's not really a viable thing. And even saying it, it's not a very good thing to say, right? Because it's not helpful. Like, yeah, I mean, and if we could fucking remove every law in every state and change them all to Democrat voters, it would probably work the same way. But it's not a helpful thing to say because we're probably not going to do it. I think it's way more reasonable to say that we should, in the states that do have the will to do it, codify it in, for sure. But I mean, suggesting something like a constitutional amendment right now just seems impossible. This is a huge win for people that are anti-abortion, and I don't think they're going to give it up by going through that lengthy process and actually getting that through. Let's see here. Not sure that matters, with Alito implying that even amendments aren't settled law. Sure, though, it's much more difficult, I would say. I mean, I think it's much less likely that they overrule an entire amendment dedicated specifically to the purpose of abortion than they do this, right? Like, I don't know. I think that's just as much of a stretch to say. A question from Tommy. If you believe a fetus is a life equal to a human, how can you justify any abortion, even extenuating circumstances? Why does those person's life suddenly mean it deserves to die just because the context of their life was shitty? Like, even if the mom would just die by this argument, they put their baby in the position knowing a risk to their life. Why does a baby deserve to die for that? Assuming one thinks fetus equals baby. So you have to remember, and this is something that we had a really good discussion about on my Discord. In case you didn't know, I actually engage a bunch with my Discord. I listen to the debates that people have. I listen to the conversations. I play games with people. We had a kind of heated discussion about abortion, as discussions on abortion tend to be. And I think what people need to realize is it's not that they're against ever killing people, right? If you look at something like a stand your ground law, they're okay with you killing a would-be burglar or somebody trespassing or whatever. It's not necessarily just intrinsically against killing people. There are plenty of other instances where one person's life is valued over another just because of context, which is perhaps why you see some anti-abortion people willing to make the concession that if it threatens the life of the mother, they're okay to do it, because there are lots of situations in the law where we're pushed to choose the value of one life over another, and that shouldn't be too strange to us. So that's what I would say there. I genuinely don't think an amendment could be passed about anything at this point. Yeah, probably not. How can the court overrule an amendment? Well, they can interpret an amendment differently. So, for example, the Second Amendment could be interpreted not to give gun rights to people, but for the rights of the states to form militia that are armed. So a militia does not mean that an individual in their private capacity has the right to own firearms. But if they had to own firearms to be a part of a militia that a state is in charge of, or just a militia in general, then that could be defensible, right? So we do interpret these amendments differently, even if on its face we think it means one thing. It could be interpreted by the courts to mean something entirely different. A good example, I don't know, I won't keep going into that because I want to move quickly. They just want a child to be in poverty their whole life. I don't think that's necessarily it. No audio? No, there is audio. I don't know why not for you. Okay, I'll read this again too, Tommy. I know, but they're against ever killing innocent people. When you say they, you need to be really careful. Imagine what this sounds like when you're talking about the people on the left or Democrats, right? It's a diverse group of people and they have diverse opinions. So just try to keep that in mind, even if you're passionate about abortion. So anywho, I know, but they're against ever killing innocent people. That's the point, that a baby is innocent, even if the circumstances are dangerous for the mom. I don't know if at that point they are innocent, even if they don't mean to. Does the context of a baby possibly making someone else die from taking care of them, that means is okay to... I'm not going through all this. I'm sorry. We don't have the time because we're trying to move quickly through this. How long have I been streaming for? Like almost 4 hours now. So I just want to quickly get through the podcast, get back to the listening. That's fair. Don't worry. Okay. I just don't want to hurt your feelings. How many people are in prison so far for illegal abortions and such in America? I don't know. The people that believe a fetus equals a baby. Gotcha. You know them that are not us. What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means, bro. Just got here. More opening arguments, Pog. Yes, sir, ma'am, or NB. A baby can exist outside the womb. Yeah, like one quick note on that. And then we'll get back into the game and listening to the podcast. I like viability as a rule. That tickles my pickle in a very good way legislatively. Because the thing is, when it's a later term abortion, you can run into circumstances where you pull this baby out. Theoretically, we have the medical capacity to like keep it going and let it live, but we need to make the choice to let it die or kill it, depending on how heated you want to get with the language. And that to people, especially anti-abortion people who educate themselves on the topic and whatever, or good points for their side, that is a particularly egregious thing. The idea that you would pull out a baby out of somebody that you could keep living and you're going to go like leave it in a room to die or kill it when it could have lived. That is unacceptable to a good chunk of people. And that is why some people are against abortion in those later trimesters. And that's why viability is a standard I feel like can catch those people who I don't necessarily think have like an uber unreasonable opinion on the topic. And, one guy said, surprisingly, only 4 states have codified state laws protecting the right to abortion. I feel like that is proof of disconnect. Yeah, perhaps. Like, I really do think that, like, the right to take it out of you, that makes sense to me. Even if I believe that a baby is a person, the right to remove it from you makes sense to me. The right of doctors to kill it, though, that does not ring as true to me. I feel like if I were to be the most fence sitter of like pro or anti-abortion people, like where I would vote likely in that hypothetical universe would be at viability, because like, well, then I would push for medical technology to be advanced such that we have artificial wombs. And at any point that a lady doesn't want to have a baby, if I really believe it's a life, then I would obligate my government to provide healthcare for it. And then at that point, I may also agree with Democrats and leftists to make healthcare widely available to people and to improve the quality and accessibility of healthcare, because it would also benefit babies that are dying simply because we don't have a way to take care of them and whatever, right? And yeah, so like, I don't know. When I imagine these parallel universes and stuff, I just see that as the place to put it. So I don't know. People equate supporting. Okay, I'm going to stop reading. I'm going to let them continue. And then, like I said, in between every round, I'll take a pause. I'll take questions and comments, and we'll talk about it a little bit. But I really want to let these folks say their piece and listen to them and hear them out.
Question mark. States have robust protections for those who may become pregnant. The flip side are 24 additional jurisdictions in which one of a number of things is going to happen. And when we talked about the reliance interest, this is really what, again, pre-Alito, that reliance interest was meant to be. So, for example, there are a bunch of states that have pre-existing statutes that prohibit abortion. Some of these go back, all of them go back at least 50 years, right? Because they're pre-Roe versus Wade. So they are 1972 or earlier. But some of these are statutes from the 1920s, the 1930s. There are old, and the legislature hasn't done anything about it because, you know, Roe v. Wade. Once Roe v. Wade is gone, those will become good law again. And in many cases, these are criminal statutes. So you might ask, how valid is a 1937 criminal statute in South Dakota? And the answer is probably. Maybe there will be some argument, but when you think about the liberty finds no refuge in a jurisprudence of doubt, when you think about the question of whose reliance interests are about to be trampled on, saying, oh, by the way, a law that hasn't been enforced for a century might just come back.
So is there no principle of law and order that's, if a thing was made unconstitutional and it's just this like clutter in the basement that nobody cared about or knew about, you don't rely on that as good law. There's no principle of law that tells you that?
No, there isn't.
So whenever anything is declared unconstitutional, you need to like pass another law to also double down and say, okay, we undo this law. It feels like nobody would do that.
So again, let me clarify a little bit. When you challenge a statute directly and the Supreme Court strikes it down, that statute that was challenged becomes invalid. So you don't have to do anything else with respect to that particular law. But then the question is, when the Supreme Court says, for example, abortion is protected, Roe v. Wade says, abortion is thus protected absolutely in the first trimester. Well, then you look at state laws that were not directly challenged that would prohibit abortion in that first trimester. And in some of the cases, you would bring a declaratory judgment action. Somebody would say, okay, hey, well, let's bring a lawsuit, and then the court would either overrule that statute or stay the enforcement of that statute. But in many cases, it would just be the case where, okay, we know we're operating under Roe versus Wade, so we're not going to try and prosecute anybody under this particular criminal provision, because what would the point be? And remember, federal courts are courts of limited jurisdiction. And so the fact that you haven't challenged that specific law means that there's nothing to invalidate it until you do. So that's the distinction. The ones that were directly appealed all the way up, those do go by the wayside. There's another wrinkle to that. So for example, Texas SB 8 has a reaffirmation clause in it. Section 2, this is the vigilante bill, but it also includes Section 2 that says the legislature finds that the state of Texas never repealed, either expressly or by implication, the state statutes enacted before the ruling in Roe versus Wade that prohibit and criminalize abortion unless the mother's life is in danger. Damn. That, I think, means very clearly that the pre-existing Texas statutes are to spring back once this opinion is entered. And then sitting on top of that, and I deliberately use the word spring, are a number of laws that have been passed over the past decade that contain a contingent effective date. So, for example, Arkansas Senate Bill 149 bans abortion. And it says, Section 2, contingent effective date. This act becomes effective on and after the certification of the Arkansas State Attorney General that, 1, the United States Supreme Court overrules in whole or in part the central holding of Roe v. Wade reaffirmed by Planned Parenthood versus Casey, thereby restoring to the state of Arkansas the authority to prohibit abortion. Or if there's a constitutional amendment that allows them to, a U.S. constitutional amendment. Not that that was necessary. So, in other words, a lot of states passed anticipatory legislation, particularly watching the composition of the Supreme Court, watching it drift further and further to the right, or, well, I shouldn't say drift. We use that, watching it be loaded onto a rocket sled, accelerated to the right. Yeah. But so states
I don't
did
know
that,
why I
and if
kept
you
this
add
down
all of that together, you get 23 states that have either pre-existing laws or these sort of springing contingent effective legislation. Plus, Florida just passed a 15-week ban, and the Florida legislature is monstrous right now. So, it wouldn't surprise me if in between my doing the research and somebody has introduced a bill to outlaw all abortions in Florida. But even discounting them, you have 23 jurisdictions in which criminal abortion statutes are about to either be rehabilitated back into existence or go into effect. Those are Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan.
That's
so
maybe
states. Get some grassroots organizing on the ground there. Mississippi, Missouri, North Carolina, again, a pretty purple state. North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, Wisconsin, another blue to purple state, and Wyoming. And so if you live in those states, get to work, because you've got something that will go into effect probably in about a month or so.
Yeah. It's obvious to say, but this did shift it all to the states. So that's the level we need to look at to get informed about your particular state that you're in and find out what organizations might be working to lobby for some of these things, because it's in the hands of the states now, and you can make a difference. You have probably a greater chance of making a difference at the state level than you do at the national level anyway. So that's a tiny encouraging thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where our battleground is going to be over the next however long it takes.
This show is brought to you by X Chair. From the moment I first sat in my X chair, my body immediately said, ah. So this is what a real office chair is supposed to feel like. I never actually looked forward to sitting in my office chair until I got my X chair. Can your current office chair give you a massage while you're working?
Also, it high key breaks.
Well, my X chair can. Can your current office chair heat up or cool down? Mine can. It's all in the LMAX massage and temperature regulation, exclusively designed and made for X Chair. And once you feel the customized support of X Chair's patented dynamic variable lumbar, or DVL, you will never be happy in another chair again. High performance, quality engineering, extreme comfort. Those are all the reasons I love my X Chair. Now, I can't wait to be at work. And sometimes, even if I'm not working, I sit in my X Chair just to get that feeling. Take my advice. Try X Chair for yourself, risk-free for 30 days. Once you realize how much better your chair should be, you'll never go back, I promise. Go to xchairoa.com now. That's the letter X, chair, OA.com now. Or call 1-844-4XChair for $100 off your order. X-Chair has a 30-day guarantee of complete comfort, and you can finance your purchase for as little as $30 a month. xchairoa.com. All right, well, let's get to our main breakdown for the day. So, Andrew, I see this segment is entitled The Constitutional Right to a Blowjob. Seems a little out of left field, but my ears are perked up. Curious.
I thought I might.
Wondering if there's a right somewhere that I didn't know about.
I want to emphasize just how much it is important for us to push back against even the characterization of the right to an abortion.
This is huge, because I didn't know this.
This isn't really about the right to an abortion. This is about the right to fundamental bodily autonomy. This is about the kind of liberty interest that allow you to stand back and go, yeah, not in America. We don't do that sort of thing. And one of the things that really struck me as I was going over the draft Dobbs opinion.
Unfortunately, we're going to pause here. So one thing that bothered me is this idea of looking at like 3 or 4 separate amendments, reading them all in a particular way, and then granting or finding a right through the mismatched, fuzzy pieces of interpretation of these different, constitutional amendments. And I personally don't think that that's a super great argument. I think a great argument is when you look at one and it exists there. So, for example, I think that it's a better argument to look at the 14th Amendment and go, the 14th Amendment grants equal rights to all people. This seems to be something specifically targeted at women. It specifically attacks women's reproductive health in a way that is not analogous to like the greater population or whatever. It's specifically targeting this group. Therefore, the 14th should apply here. To me, even if that's not the greatest, even if it doesn't like cover the specifics, whatever, I find that more compelling than looking at, well, a combination of the 3rd, the 4th, technically it's an unreasonable search and seizure to get the medical information, and then then it's 14th Amendment because it applies to women, and then it's this amendment. Like, that seems to me to be a more convoluted and difficult way of doing things, and I wasn't even sure if that's even allowed. To me, it seemed like a stretching of the powers of the judicial, or the interpretations of the judicial, in order to be proactive in guaranteeing a right to people. I can agree with the outcome. I can agree that I want women to have reproductive rights in the country and the ability to have an abortion and whatever, while also disagreeing with the implementation through the Supreme Court, whether it's because I think that every state should be able to decide on their own, and I disagree it's a constitutional right, or I think that it might be a constitutional right, but interpreting it through 4 different interpretations of 4 different amendments is not the way that I would do it, right? Like, there's a wide spectrum of opinions that I personally feel, and I think plenty of you could also fall between. And so I was thinking that, and I was thinking that going into the oral arguments, and it influenced the way that I interpreted them. And especially because they talk about finding rights that don't exist in the Constitution, whatever. What really shifted me was hearing these guys talk about it and using other examples. The Supreme Court justices were, whether it's willfully or just by chance, like forgetting and not citing and not giving any credence to. And so this was helpful to kind of fill that gap in my mind. And maybe that's something different for you guys. Like the right to privacy. Yeah, I don't know. Ruth Bader Ginsburg always wanted the Roe argument to be based on equal protection. I think it would have been a smarter way of doing it that would have held on longer, in my opinion. But I don't know. It may have been that all it took was getting the right number of conservative justices, and they would have picked that apart just as much. I'm not a legal dude, so I have no idea. Those are good as follow-up points, I guess. Yeah, maybe. Anywho, I don't see any other questions, comments, or concerns, so we'll go ahead and continue through here. Let me go ahead and play the tape
in more detail after our initial review on Monday night. I have spent a lot of time flagging that I thought this opinion, when it came down, was going to target Griswold versus Connecticut and contraceptives, and Obergefell versus Hodges and gay marriage. I certainly did not expect the degree to which the opinion is critical of Loving versus Virginia. And the other issue that I missed, quite frankly, was that it was going to take on a case called Lawrence versus Texas. And Lawrence versus Texas is a 6-3 decision authored by, by center-right swing Justice Anthony Kennedy. And it reminds us that, and that opinion is from 2003, and it reminds us that it has been one generation. It has been within your lifetime, and practically yesterday for me, in which it was okay for states to deliberately target people simply for being gay. And that decision that reaffirmed, go right after him, was a case called Bowers versus Hardwick. It's a 1986 Supreme Court case, and it deals with a Georgia law that criminalized sodomy. And that was Georgia Code 16-6-2, which says a person commits the offense of sodomy when he performs or submits to any sexual act involving the sex organs of one person and the mouth or anus of another. A person convicted of the offense of sodomy, I want you to just predict the rest of the sentence. What kind of a criminal conviction do you think Georgia had? This law.
I'll put the question to you guys. What do you think? What kind of punishment do you think Georgia had for the crime of sodomy? And mind you, this is giving and receiving. It's anybody's. It's not a thing against tops, okay? So what do you think? Lynching. Well, that's quite a dingleberry of an opinion there. That's a hell of an opinion, or a guess, I guess. 20 years. Capital punishment. Looks like you're on the lynching train. That's not a good sentence. Well, son, you done find yourself on the lynching train. That's not fun ride. Jesus Christ, the lynching train. Okay, so capital punishment, 20 years. Any other guessers before we play the episode and find out? Or are you all Googling so that you appear smarter than you actually are? I wonder. I'm going to go ahead and play it.
It was passed in 1984. Okay.
Wow.
So
1984. The wording of that sodomy law didn't even sound like what is commonly called sodomy. It sounded like any sexual behavior. That it did, yes. but let me know. Neil Young being a little bit of a grammar Nazi, speaking of putting people on trains to be killed. In all honesty, I'd guess 5. Okay, 5. 1 to 20 years, I cheated. Well,
1984, at the apex of modern American music, within my lifetime, just before yours. What do you think?
You've laid the rake down in front of me. I'm going to step on it. Misdemeanor, $200 fine.
Shall be punished by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 20 years.
Wow.
So, let's break this one down, and this is why I called this the constitutional right to a blowjob.
And sorry, is a blowjob sodomy?
A blowjob is defined as sodomy in every state statute that I know of that criminalizes it. And
the more you know.
As of 1961, all 50 states had laws that prohibited sodomy. So 61 years ago, it was illegal for any person to receive a blowjob or give a blowjob, or we don't need to go through the various permutations here, in all 50 states.
Wow.
You might notice that extends rather beyond being gay, but let's talk now about how those anti-blowjob laws were enforced. In August of 1982, Hardwick was charged with violating that Georgia statute criminalizing sodomy by, quote, committing that act with another adult male in the bedroom of respondent's home. You do not get more personal privacy than what you do in your bedroom with the door locked, the shades drawn. There was a preliminary hearing, and then the district attorney decided not to present the matter to a grand jury for an indictment, quote, unless further evidence developed, end of quote. So, yeah, for now, Hardwick, you're okay. We're not going to try and throw you in jail for 20 years. Respondent, Hardwick, then brought a declaratory judgment suit in the federal district court in Georgia, challenging the constitutionality of the statute insofar as it criminalized consensual sodomy. He asserted that he was and again, I'm sorry for the archaic language here, a practicing homosexual.
Different time. Wow. Now my gay friends have perfected it, by the way. They're amazing at it, and I love them.
Here. So, John and Mary Doe were also plaintiffs in the action. They alleged that they wished to engage in certain sexual activity prescribed by 16-6-2 in the privacy of their home, which I bet they did. Right? There's a lot of activity that is prohibited by 16-6-2, and that they had been chilled into existence of the statute and by the publicity of Hardwick's arrest. And this is the part I wanted to bring to your attention. The district court, however, held that because they had neither sustained nor were in any immediate danger of sustaining any direct injury from the enforcement of the statute, that they did not have standing. And then that was affirmed by the court of it. Really means in practice. That was, married couple said, hey, you know what's really great is sexual activity that is prohibited by 16-6-2. And essentially, at the district court level, at the trial court, the overwhelming, you guys were going to enforce the statute against you. Come on. We all know this is for this reason. Right?
But it's not written in the statute, right? It would have
Of course
applied.
it's not. Yeah. And so the court said, because of that, because it's not enforced, because of discriminatory, unequal enforcement, you lack the ability, you lack standing, because let's face it, you're not really ever going to get arrested for
this. So they put in the official decision, well, because of quiet part, you're fine.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. The 11th Circuit said, and again, remember this is now 1985, the 11th Circuit looked at the Supreme Court line of cases that we have talked about. Griswold.
Now, again, here's something to keep in mind with the court. The Supreme Court of the United States, it either handles original cases, meaning it's the first time it's being heard for like international issues or random shit like that, like with ambassadors and whatever. And then it also handles appellate cases that were appealed from other states. And you submit a document explaining to them why you want to appeal it at that level. The solicitor person in charge of reviewing those decides if it goes on a list, then the Supreme Court justices will pick from that list what it is they want to hear. Part of that decision is on the reasoning of the lower courts. So in this case, if that court were to put in their reasoning, well, technically this law would never affect you. It's only meant to affect this group of people, even if you're committing the act. They're putting in there the bait that will be necessary to overturn it. So that looks like a good case to the Supreme Court, right? So That's something some context that I'm not sure everybody gets to keep in.
Griswold was about the Connecticut law that criminalized the sale of contraceptives to married couples. That was followed 4 years later, so a fair period of ambiguity there, by a case that we have not talked about much called Eisenstadt versus Baird, that also extended that right to unmarried couples. Right? Because Griswold uses phrases like the sanctity of the marital bedroom, and the court in Eisenstadt was like, right, even if you're not married, like that this is a liberty right possessed by individuals belong to a certain status.
But interesting that they needed another decision for that, because I kind of gotten the impression from the coverage that established this privacy right, that would have applied to everybody. But no, they needed to further emphasize that in another decision.
Yeah, it was clarifying the extent of the privacy right. That, in other words, it's not just a marriage, because if you took just Loving versus Virginia on interracial marriage and Griswold versus Connecticut on the right of married couples to use contraceptives, you could craft a history and tradition argument that says, right, decisions in marriage are part of that long-standing history and tradition and therefore implicit in the concept of ordered liberty. But if you're not married, too bad on you. And Eisenstadt said, no, we're rejecting that kind of a narrow reading of what privacy means. Privacy means, we all know what privacy means. It means the right to room from the government coming in and going, hey, is that a man or a woman who is, performing a particular act that's prohibited by 16-6?
Don't put that there. Yeah, don't put that there.
Right. And so the 11th Circuit said very straightforwardly, a private and intimate association is beyond the reach of state regulation by reason of the 9th Amendment and the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, the same reasoning from Roe. And I want to just stop for a minute and give a little shout out to that 11th Circuit opinion, because this is 1985, right? The gay rights movement was about a decade old publicly at that point, was still relegated to the fringes. AIDS panic was everywhere and grotesque amounts of misinformation. It has never been a fantastic time to be LGBTQ plus in this country. 1985 was not a great time.
Yeah.
And the 11th Circuit said, well, that's not for us to decide. What's for us to decide is looking at the Supreme Court's precedents and plainly applying them to this case. It is obvious that you can't criminalize consenting adult sexual behavior in their bedroom. That led to a split among the circuits. The 5th Circuit, always a conservative circuit. The 11th Circuit, again, this is Georgia, right? This is Georgia, Florida, and Alabama is what the 11th Circuit sits over. Not exactly a bastion of liberalism, but at least a bastion of honesty at that point in time. The 5th Circuit, which is the neighboring circuit, directly to the west, had gone the other way, and the D.C. Circuit had gone the other way. So that was ripe for adjudication at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court bitterly divided 5-4 opinion reversed. The opinion was written by center-right justice. This reasoning is basically either plagiarized by Alito or it's an example of like convergent evolution.
Yeah.
That these are 40-year-old arguments, and I'm going to read them to you so you understand just how bad these arguments were back then and just how wholesale, right? And the Supreme Court, again, as I said, 6-3 rejected these arguments 20 years ago, 19 years ago, and like a bad penny, they're back again. So here's what White said in his majority opinion. Striving to assure itself in the public that announcing rights not readily identifiable in the Constitution's text involves much more than the imposition of the justice's own choice of values on the states and the federal government. The court has sought to identify the nature of rights qualifying for heightened judicial protection. In Palco versus Connecticut, we said that this category...
All right. It is time for a bit of a pause. Let me go ahead and read some interesting chats from y'all. Gays aren't the only ones to do it, just the best at doing it. Counterpoint, trans women. I don't know, at least in my experience. Yeah, but obviously this law is just to affect gay people, which is what I was indirectly saying. Interesting. You guys have a little bit of back and forth here. You said sodomy is euphemism for gay. Okay. Rarely enforced laws with crazy punishments just allow for abuse of power. Yeah, and if they're selectively enforced, that sounds right for some 14th Amendment fuckery. Wait, I thought Nancy Reagan legalized blowjobs. I've heard that too. I don't know where that comes from, but lol, I didn't know before. Oh, okay, you've heard the episode, and that's how you know. Gotcha. Didn't look it up. Exception to prove rule. Yeah, I guess. Good counter. Good show, chap, in the realm of logic, and it was a good fight between the two of us, albeit brief. All right, let's go ahead and continue listening. Why not?
Were included those fundamental liberties that are implicit in the concept of ordered liberty, such that neither liberty nor justice would exist if they're sacrificed. A differing description is East Cleveland, where they're characterized as those liberties that are deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition. It is obvious to us that neither of these formulations would extend a fundamental right to homosexuals to engage in acts of consensual sodomy. Prescriptions against that conduct have ancient roots. See generally, blah, 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 blah. Sodomy was a criminal offense of common law forbidden by the laws of the original 13 states. In 1868, when the 14th Amendment was ratified, all but five of the 37 states had criminal sodomy laws. In fact, until 1961, all 50 states outlawed sodomy. Come on. We outlaw this stuff all the time.
Since we've always done it, definitely great.
Can't be a right. And that led to Justice Blackmun's blistering dissent, which is, this case is no more about a fundamental right to engage in homosexual sodomy than Stanley versus Georgia, which is a First Amendment case about obscenity, was about a fundamental right to watch obscene movies. Or Katz v. U.S., which is a Fourth Amendment case about wiretapping, was about a fundamental right to place interstate bets from a telephone booth. Rather, this case is about the most comprehensive of rights and the right most valued by civilized persons, namely the right to be let alone.
Yeah.
And that takes us to 2003. And that's why I cheekily titled that the right to a blowjob. It's not about the right to a blowjob. It's not about the right to sodomy. It's not about even the right to an abortion. It is about the fundamental right to bodily autonomy, the right to be let alone, the most essential concept in the collection of the rights that are necessary to a system of ordered liberty.
And it strikes me that we should have just an army of libertarians on our side about this, right?
You would think. Where is all of that? Yeah.
You know, Paul Ryan.
Rand Paul?
Yeah. Rand Paul, all of them that are libertarian leaning. The midterms, 70-30.
Yeah, well, let's see if they are intellectually consistent, or if libertarian means I vote for tax cuts and occasionally weed.
Yeah.
That takes us to 2003, and in many
As
ways,
I said,
right, we
they
had
have an
some
ideological
progress.
swing. Right?
Texas Penal Code 21.06a provides a person commits an offense if he engages in, and again, if you ask me, am I making fun of Texas state legislators? The answer is yes. Deviate. D-E-V-I-A-T-E. I know they meant deviant, but, deviant sexual intercourse with another individual of the same sex. So now, right, we've said the quiet part out loud. We're not going to include, I am not going to say that Mr. and Mrs. McGillicuddy can't do in certain prohibited behaviors. But if you're the same sex, deviant sexual intercourse, again, misspelled.
Deviate.
Yeah, is as follows. A, any contact between any part of the genitals of one person and the mouth or anus of another person, or the penetration of the genitals or the anus of another person with an object. Because, we had to get the lesbians in on this, too.
Plenty of people use objects.
Can enjoy toys. Oh, yeah, no, I was going to say. Straight couples can continue using toys, right? But, a couple, absolutely not. Litigants in that case were fined. Exact prediction.
Weird.
Yeah, came to be. And in fact, the court, in this case, Lawrence versus Texas, devotes a section to the, you might be saying, it's only $200. How bad can that be? And the court's like, we take that seriously, right?
It adds up if you have a healthy sex life.
Yeah, every single time. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
$200 a throw, huh? All right. But more than that, when something is criminal behavior, that makes it negligence per se, right? It can invalidate insurance contracts, can be used as a basis for termination for cause, right? Like, we should not criminalize behavior, even if we attach a minor penalty to it. And the Supreme Court, 6-3, reversed. Again, written by, notorious leftist Anthony Kennedy. Concurrence by notorious, again, by Sandra Day O'Connor, right? Yeah. The authors of Casey, which I think is very significant to know. Kennedy and O'Connor wrote Casey. Kennedy and O'Connor wrote Lawrence v. Texas. Dissenting was the court's hard right wing at the time, Scalia, Thomas, and Rehnquist. This case begins with this paragraph. Liberty protects the person from unwarranted government intrusions into a dwelling or other private places. In our tradition, the state is not omnipresent in the home, and there are other spheres of our lives and existence outside the home where the state should not be a dominant presence. Freedom extends beyond spatial bounds. Liberty presumes an autonomy of self that includes freedom of thought, belief, expression, and certain intimate conduct. The instant case involves liberty of the person, both in its spatial and in its more transcendent dimensions. And that's why this case, because there is absolutely no way to square the Lawrence v. Texas court's decision 19 years ago to repudiate Bowers versus Hardwick, because this case takes on that central reasoning. Remember, Bowers v. Hardwick says, yeah, well, of course, there's no right to sodomy, that sodomy's been criminal for as long as I can possibly remember. So
History and tradition,
how did the Supreme Court in 2003, again, with a relatively healthy continuity of members who are still on today, deal with that? This isn't a right steeped in tradition and history. And here's how it did, in a way that is beyond persuasive, I think, if you are at all an objective observer to this. They said, first, yeah, it is, depending on the level of resolution. And this is, again, why, if you want to characterize something as the right to a blowjob, no, the right to a blowjob is not
point to me in the Constitution where it says I have a right to a blowjob. No, please, can you point to that?
The court began its substantive discussion in Bowers as follows. The issue presented is whether the federal Constitution confers a fundamental right upon homosexuals to engage in sodomy and hence invalidates the laws of many states that still make such conduct illegal and have done so for a very long time. And then this is the very next sentence after describing that case. That statement, we now conclude, discloses the court's own failure to appreciate the extent of the liberty at stake. To say that the issue in Bowers was simply the right to engage in certain sexual conduct demeans the claim of the individual put forward, just as it would demean a married couple were it to be said that marriage is simply about the right to have sexual intercourse. The laws involved in Bowers and here are, to be sure, statutes that purport to do no more than prohibit a particular sexual act. Their penalties and purposes, though, have far more reaching consequences, touching upon the most private human conduct, sexual behavior, in the most private of spaces, the home. The statutes do seek to control a personal relationship that, whether or not entitled to formal recognition in the law, is within the liberty of persons to choose without being punished as criminals. That was 19 years ago. So the court then goes through their list, rather like my failure to fly spec Sam Alito's list of laws criminalizing abortion. They basically go through the list and quibble with each and every one of them because, again, all of this is about cherry-picking nonsense from 400 years ago. And they're like, look, this list is kind of dubious. We're not sure. When you look at all of these statutes, it's not clear that they evidence a longstanding belief in prohibiting certain practices. And then they say, in summary, the historical grounds relied upon in Bowers are more complex than the majority opinion and the concurring opinion indicate. Their historical premises are not without doubt, or at the very least are overstated. And then they get into the, what about it's a deeply rooted part of tradition to have these kinds of criminal laws. They say it must be acknowledged that the court in Bowers was making the broader point that for centuries there have been powerful voices to condemn homosexual conduct as immoral. The condemnation has been shaped by religious beliefs, conceptions of right and acceptable behavior, and respect for the traditional family. For many persons, these are not trivial concerns, but profound and deep convictions accepted as ethical and moral principles to which they aspire.
Okay, I want to respond to this question real quick because it's good. I feel like I'm totally missing the plot with this argument. Don't we accept that, quote, bodily autonomy doesn't apply when it hurts someone else? So how is them harping on that alone supposed to be effective in influencing the It's a Life conservatives? Or is that not the point? It's not the point. And the Supreme Court is not there to decide whether or not the thing is a life. So yes, you're smelling on the right frequency. It's not... That's not the level at which they're discussing it. And this isn't meant to be a persuasive argument for conservatives. So yes, on both counts. And that applies to both the people in this podcast and the court more generally. They're not there to solve the idea of whether or not it's a life. Even in the viability thing, I believe in the way that Pisco's worded it to me and with the way the justices have worded it, it's about when the state has an interest in that decision. And it's not about whether or not we consider the baby a life. It's never, ever, ever worded like that. So that would be the thing there. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and play it. I just wanted to respond to that as quick as possible.
And which thus determine the course of their lives. So far, I can say this very same thing about pro-choice, pro-life individuals. These considerations do not answer the question before us, however. The issue is whether the majority may use the power of the state to enforce these views on the whole of society through the operation of criminal law. Our obligation is to define the liberty of all, not to mandate our own moral code, with a citation to Casey. In all events, we think that our laws and traditions in the past half century are of the most relevance here. I just want to pause briefly, like, Again, 2 decades ago, when answering the history and tradition argument, the answer was, okay, we want to look at the right level of resolution, and then in particular, you want to look to the most recent part of history for questions about directionality.
No kidding. Civil Rights Act, wouldn't you be like, well, this conflicts with history?
Yeah, of course.
This is no good.
Yeah. Traditions in the past half century, so that is 1972 to today, are of the most relevance here. That is given zero analysis in the Dobbs opinion. These references show an emerging awareness that liberty gives substantial protection to adult persons in deciding how to conduct their private lives in matters pertaining to sex. Or you might say, these references show an emerging awareness that abortion is a key aspect of an individual's right to bodily autonomy. History and tradition are the starting point, but not, in all cases, the ending point of the substantive due process inquiry. In Bowers, the court referred to the fact that before 1961, all 50 states had outlawed sodomy, and that at the time of the court's decision, 24 states in the District of Columbia had sodomy laws. Justice Powell pointed out that those prohibitions were often being ignored. Georgia, for instance, had not sought to enforce its law for decades. The sweeping references by Chief Judge Justice Berger in the history of Western civilization and to Judeo-Christian moral and ethical standards did not take account of other authorities pointing in an opposite direction. A committee advising the British Parliament recommended in 1957 repeal of laws punishing homosexual conduct. The Wolfenden Report, is that citation, recommendations 10 years later in 1967. Of even more importance, almost 5 years before Bowers was decided, the European Court of Human Rights considered a case with parallels to Bowers, an adult male resident in Northern Ireland. Of Northern Ireland, he alleged that he had been questioned, his home had been searched, and he feared criminal prosecution. The court held that the laws prescribing the conduct were invalid under the European Convention on Human Rights. That's a case called Dudgeon versus UK, 1981. Authoritative in all countries that are members of the Council of Europe, 21 nations then, 45 nations now, the decision is at odds with the premise in Bowers that the claim put forward was insubstantial in our Western civilization. I went through all of that because the same thing is true when you have these soaring appeals to Judeo-Christian values and history and tradition. Nevertheless, in countries with majority Judeo-Christian populations, if that were a thing, you see a trend away from criminalizing abortions, not a trend towards criminalizing abortions. By ordinary, and that's the point of all of this. And I'm going to wrap this up. I have lots more that I could talk about. I want to get to a tiny bit on the question of stare decisis. But what I want to say is, by any means, the most recent decision that touched on the concept of what it means to be fundamental in the concept of ordered liberty was Lawrence versus Texas. And a plain rate, you go through and you swap out the right to sodomy with the right to an abortion, or you swap them both out for the right to individual autonomy, and you come to the exact opposite conclusion of what this court has come to. So I just want to give you all of the evidence you can to push back against sort of the narrative of rights do have to be subject to long-standing history and tradition. No, they do not. That has never been the test. It has always been the starting point, but not the ending point for that inquiry. And this court, 19 years ago, knew how to do that with a conservative majority that nevertheless was not willing to run roughshod over the concept of individual liberty and the concept of the rule of law. My point on stare decisis is Lawrence v. Texas does overrule Bowers v. Hardwick. And so there's a section of, you guys wrote that stare decisis thing for Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Why are you okay with getting rid of precedent now? And they tackle that head on. And they say, the rationale of Bowers does not withstand careful analysis. In his dissenting opinion, Justice Stevens came to these conclusions. Our prior cases make two propositions abundantly clear. First, the fact that the governing majority in a state has traditionally viewed a particular practice as immoral is not a sufficient reason for upholding a law prohibiting the practice. Neither history nor tradition could save a law prohibiting miscegenation from constitutional attack.
Yeah.
And second, individual decisions by married persons concerning the intimacies of their physical relationship, even when not intended to produce offspring, are a form of liberty protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Moreover, this protection extends to intimate choices by unmarried as well as married persons. Justice Stevens' analysis, in our view, should have been controlling in Bowers and should control here. Bowers was not correct when it was decided. It is not correct today. It ought not to remain binding precedent. It should be and now is overruled. The very reason for declining to apply stare decisis in Bowers was, you attempted to measure rights by history and tradition, and we cannot imagine a bigger mistake than that.
Yeah, no kidding.
This leads to one terrifying implication, which is that I cannot see if a state wanted to criminalize sodomy, if a state wanted to go back and reenact any of these laws and make it illegal to be gay, explicitly so, I do not see how you could sign on to the majority opinion in Dobbs and not sign on to an opinion that says, that's totally totally fine too. So I weep for our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters and siblings. It's going to be rough, rougher than it already is, which is bad. But I also wanted to give you yet another mainstream case from less than 2 decades ago to throw into sharp relief just how far off the rails, just how activist this court is. Don't let them gaslight you on this. This has never been the test. It should not be the test. It would not be the test if not for Donald Trump getting to pack the court with acolytes of the Federalist Society who have been dying to do this for 50 years.
And thank you. And now it's time to thank our new patrons at patreon.com/law. We've got a number of them to thank this week, which is super cool. So, Andrew, why don't you start us off? Thank our new patrons at patreon.com/law.
A big thank you to Mike Hunt, David Butler, Carrie M., Jordan Rosen, totally a real human person. All right, Ted Cruz, Joe DeLaser, Gropop Ganderfin, Patrick Byler, McCormick Williams, Michael Hanna, P.O. at It's Sandwich Time. That is ITS_sandwich_time. Ben Lilliord, Tim Marlette, Jared Young, Thomas Romansky, Christopher Mazzaros, Senor Pesquisas, Charles Eaton, Jonathan Truitt Steele, Dominic Perez, Drew Bushhorn, Rhiannon McLean, Brendan Wells, A.L. Loam, Richard Macy, David Reams, Turd Anderson, Rails Frontrunner, Johnson C65, JP Tyndall, and Keith Richards.
Oh, finally! I was wondering. When
I have been waiting. I hope he's in the top tier. But
yeah.
All right, Thomas, you take it away.
I hope he's never heard me talk about how much better the Beatles are than the Rolling Stones, and that his riffs are really short and repetitive and get very old, and the entire song will be one riff. I hope he's never heard me say that. But thank you, Keith Richards. And now, time to thank my turn. Thank you to Ali C, Chris Chandler. No need to thank me. Love the show and wanted to give back after 2+ years of listening. Well, tough luck. We're thanking you anyway. Eric Hathaway, Becky, Matthew Daly, Amanda Burns Art, Andrew the Public Health Geographer. Oh, cool. Jennifer Paulhouse, Michael Landman, Kate K, Shelton, Bodie62, Hallie Starling, Chick Colton, Matt Leischer, your friendly neighborhood opera singer, Felix from Minneapolis. Awesome. Cornelia Kibler, Christopher Dolan, Derek Ratliff, Zwedu, Ty Stevens, Benjamin Reinl, Mike Poland, Addy Peshkis, Voodoo Magic Swamp Lawyer, Rigging Engineer, Cranes, Not Elections, Stephanie Farron, Jeff S., Ethan, Kathy Solma, and policy should be driven by science and compassion, not dogma. Agreed. Thank you so much, new patrons. Go hop on the question thread. Join us for our Q&A, all the stuff. Enjoy the ad-free episodes, everything. Everybody hop on to patreon.com/law. Join their ranks.
Oh, no associate of this firm has ever failed the bar exam. No kidding.
And now it's time for T3BE. I'm not doing well. That's okay. Law doesn't matter anymore. I can just say that the history and tradition says that this answer, and then I win. But let's pretend law still does exist and see if I can get this question right.
All right, Thomas. A defendant is charged with homicide after the defendant was involved in a car accident that killed a pedestrian. At the defendant's trial, the prosecution calls to the stand a shop owner who testified that immediately after the accident, a witness ran into his store and said, "Whoa, can I use your phone? That blue car just ran a red light and hit someone."
Hearsay, huh?
The witness is not testifying at trial and is not present in court. With the sole objective of discrediting this testimony, the defense sought to introduce an audio recording from when a police officer interviewed the witness at the station the next day. That recording consists of the following exchange. Officer, did you see a blue car run a red light? Witness, no, the blue car did not run a red light. The light was green when it drove through the intersection. The prosecution objected to the introduction of the recording. Assume that the recording and the voices are properly authenticated and satisfy the best evidence rule. Should the court sustain the objection? A, yes, because the recording constitutes inadmissible hearsay. B, yes, because extrinsic evidence is not admissible in this situation. C, no, because the recording constitutes admissible hearsay under the recorded recollection exception. Or D, no, because extrinsic evidence is admissible in this situation.
Oh, God.
This is a hard one. Holy shit.
So this is really confusing because the prosecution seems to be introducing hearsay that doesn't get objected to unless I don't understand hearsay, which I don't. But they call yeah, follow all that logic. They call a shop owner who testified that after the accident, a witness ran in and said, "Hey, hearsay." I hearsay that, that seems like hearsay. The witness is not testifying and is not present in the court. Is there some, like, because the witness is unavailable, maybe that's okay? Well, whatever. They're not. So the defense, either because they're incompetent or I don't understand something, didn't object to that. So they allow the witness to testify, hearsay, in my opinion, but they do want to discredit the testimony by introducing an audio recording from when a police officer interviewed the witness, and the witness contradicted that statement. This is a bizarre.
So like a character.
I don't know, man. None of this seems like what would happen. I don't know. Then the prosecution objects to the introduction of the recording, being like, "No, our hearsay is fine. Don't introduce your actual evidence somehow." But it says, assume that the recording and the voices are properly authenticated and satisfy the best evidence rule. I have never been more lost in a question. I mean, this is worse than real property. Hearsay is always really, really, really bad. But this one, I can't even. Because it feels like the testimony is hearsay, but we're just like letting that stand and then asking, can this way better evidence be introduced to contradict the obviously hearsay? It seems to me. Can't wait to get the explanation of this one. But I've noticed the answers have a pattern there. So it's 2 yeses, 2 nos. That's pretty common. But it's also 2 distinct issues. So like the A and the C are admissible hearsay. A is yes, sustain the objection because it's inadmissible hearsay, and C is no, because the recording constitutes an admissible hearsay under the recorded recollection exception. And then B and D are yes, because extrinsic evidence is not admissible in this situation, and D, no, because extrinsic evidence is admissible in this situation. So I guess I need to figure out, is this objection about hearsay or is this objection about extrinsic evidence? And I lean toward extrinsic evidence, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I think because I don't know why. It just I don't know why. The recording.
Oh my God, she died?
Recorded recollections exception. I don't know why that doesn't seem right. That's like the recorded. Oh, man, I think I'm gonna go between B and D, assuming that this is about extrinsic evidence, because you're like trying to bring in extrinsic evidence to clarify whether.
That's a fucking slur, dude. That's a goddamn slur. No fucking shot, dude. God fucking damn it. Fuck. Well, luckily I have another slave I could buy in here, so whatever. Fuck. That's fucking lame, dude. I like that chick. Man, fuck. Man, fuck. Anyway, I'll play the thing again.
Or not this happened, and I'm just gonna say D, no, because extrinsic evidence is admissible in this situation. This is a flat-out guess, purely based on guessing which the issue is and which answer I want to be correct, because it seems obvious that you could introduce a tape recording that's authenticated. That's way better evidence than a witness claiming they heard somebody say something. So I'm going with D for that reason. No idea. Hardest question perhaps in the history of T3BE, or I'm just totally missing something. Either way, can't wait for next week to hear the answer on this one.
All right, and if you can't wait to hear next week's answer, you can play along. Just share out this episode on social media, include your guess, your reasons, therefore. We will pick a winner and shower that winner with never-ending fame and fortune. Fame and fortune not guaranteed.
And that's our show. Thanks for another really valuable breakdown, and we will see you on Tuesday, assuming no other major rights get struck down and we have to do another 4-episode week.
I would kind of like a little bit of a break if that's
It would be
okay,
nice
Thomas.
to have a weekend. Yeah, one single weekend. That's okay. We'll see you on Tuesday, or for those patrons, Sunday night. See you then.
I move for a bad court thingy.
You mean a mistrial?
Yeah, that's why you're the judge and I'm the law-talking guy.
This has been Opening Arguments with Andrew and Thomas. If you love the show and want to support future episodes, please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/law. If you can't support us financially, it will be a big help if you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever podcast delivery vehicle you use. And be sure to tell all your friends about us. For questions, suggestions, and complaints, email us at openarguments@gmail.com. The show notes and links are on our website at www.openargs.com. Be sure to join the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/yodelmountain and follow us on Twitter at openargs. This podcast is a production of Opening Arguments Media, LLC.
So, wait, is the wave still coming? I didn't hear the noise that tells me it's done. Where are they still attacking something? They're not attacking this. The wave is over, right? I don't expect you guys to know the answer to this, but it's over, right? There aren't any bugs anywhere else? I think it's over. I'm going crazy. Damn, I still haven't found the exit. But anywho, that was Opening Arguments. I hope that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe less fun than perhaps enjoyable. But I think it's good to listen to get more information on this kind of court cases and stuff, because I don't know and I'm not a lawyer. And if I could turn you guys something that could answer those sorts of questions in a way that I can't, maybe that's a good use of my platform. So I've been deciding to do that and to let it play out. And you know, it's not to get free content and make money on autopilot. I don't make money while you guys are sitting here, and I'm not plugging for donos and whatever. So don't think that I'm filling hours. I barely ever stream. You know, like it's like purely just to, in case people have never heard it, that then they could hear it and they can start listening to that and they can do it on their own. Granted, I did do a donation goal last time to listen to this episode, so I suppose in that way it was profit motive a little bit, but like the point is more so to give you guys an introduction to kinds of content that isn't mine that you might enjoy listening to or watching and that do more for you, right? The wave is over, your character's healed. That's a good point. They did heal. That should have been my indication. I was going to go off of whether or not they repaired quickly, but healing is probably a better line for that. Nothing spawned there, right? Okay. That was a poorly timed ult. Eek. Oh. Wait, no. But yeah, like, I'm just trying to expose you guys to some stuff that would be productive, especially if we do drama and shit like that. Which is actually part of why I decided to cover drama stuff today, is like, I know we're going to do opening arguments and whatever, and I kind of wanted to pair it with something that I know will get more viewers. That way I can do something good with the more viewers that we get. And I think that that's a good thing that I'll just keep doing, is like, if I'm going to do something that's going to be for the views and whatever, at least in part, then I want to kind of do something productive with that beyond just like making money or something else. So you might see me plan drama on a day where I know I'm going to do a club activity as well. If I'm going to live stream like the movie awards or something, I might choose to do some kind of big drama, whatever the big drama is, before the news thing. And this is a way in my brain that I've found I can keep giving you guys what you want, which is the drama content and the debate reviews, and I can stomach it more mentally because it is giving me the opportunity to do something else I wouldn't be able to do, which is give an audience to things like this, whether it's our clubs, whether it's, you know, this kind of podcast, whether it's educational content, right? What do you guys think about that? Because like in my brain, that seems genius. Resident genius over here. But like for real, like I've struggled with mentally doing this stuff. It feels meaningless to cover like drama content, whatever. And there's like a gazillion problems with it. But if it's to promote the things I want to promote, if it's to accomplish these things that I want to accomplish, it feels a lot better than just money motivation. I know I could live as a person who is homeless and be okay. I've been at the bottom of means. The whole way I was raised is live within your means. That's what my dad taught me, and I stuck by that for a long time. But now that I know that my means is like homeless and I get to eat avocados and like see nice things and that's enough for life, like now I need to expand beyond that. And expanding beyond that has been the trouble, because it's like, you know, if I want to make money to do a bunch of extra shit, it's tough to get my brain in that mindset that, oh, I'll give up comfort to pursue the extra shit, when comfort is like a big thing for me. Or, oh, I'll give up like in job to be able to do extra shit. Like, but enjoying my job has always been an important thing for me. So I've had this trouble transitioning from those two mindsets in life, and now I'm kind of still figuring it out, and this is part of me figuring it out. I don't even know how many people are still here after we stopped doing the Chud stuff and started listening to opening arguments or whatever, but I would be interested to hear what y'all think about that. Because I think some of you at least enjoy hearing me talk about philosophy or learning how to live life and whatever. So maybe you would find some use in that discussion or that topic. And if you're a VO Megalol D winner, because I want to kind of stop being mean to you guys, because I do love my VOD people. And my VOD people know that because they see the end of the stream when I kick the Twitch people out, so they know how I feel. But I think it's important to be explicit about it. For my VOD people, if you want to leave a comment, that is totally handy as well. Because there are only so many people who are going to see this live, and there's a lot more people that will see it after the fact, you know? I enjoy it. I've been weaning off the Twitch poll myself. Well, that's cool. If it has a negative impact on you, I think it's good to wean off of it. Like whether it's taking time away from things that you want to accomplish, or it's, upsetting you, or whatever the reason is. If it's having a negative impact on you, probably good to wean it off. Certainly not necessary. I prefer the hearing about the Supreme Court to listening to meaningless drama. Well, maybe that's part of why you're here, right? But we had a raid from Chud, and I would assume we would lose all of the Chud viewers, because in my mind, the Chud viewers don't seem nearly as interested in the same things as like this community might be interested in, or people that like watch me regularly would be interested in. And therein lies my question about people leaving, is like, as soon as we stop doing drama stuff, I'd imagine most of those people would leave because they actually do enjoy that stuff in a way that I don't, and maybe a lot of you don't. I gave up enjoying my life for a 20K raise. Well, I mean, now did you give it up for a 20K raise, or did you give it up for the things that the 20K raise buys you, right? Like, therein lies the question. Like, if I had some really purposeful things I would spend the money on and whatever, then maybe it could drive me to be like that, but I probably have some kind of mental thing, maybe like ADHD, but I don't see the future super well in my brain. Whether that's because like I get super depressed and I do worry that one day I might just like off myself and then these long-term things will be for naught, or whether it's just because I can't conceptualize it in my brain. I kind of struggle to think about like the long-term super seriously. So for me, it's tough to take on these like long-term goals and decisions. But if in the short term I had something to spend it on, that would be different, right? Maybe in the short term you have something to spend that on, so it makes sense. Like for you, it's not a 20K raise, it's like paying your mom's medical bills or paying for your daughter's education or something like that. I don't know. I could see that being the case. Boy, oh boy, what a weird dungeon layout. I hope we find the exit on this side. But yeah, I'd be curious. I do enjoy hearing your guys' feedback on the philosophy segments and stuff, because maybe it's just the way I talk about it or whatever, or frame things, but like I get a lot of feedback from people about like their personal life and like things related to their personal life, their personal stories, and I think that helps me to understand things a lot more and like process my own stuff as well. Because if it's in context, it's a lot different than dealing with like principles and sayings and shit like that. It's often principles and sayings and stuff that make it more difficult for me to interpret like what to do and whatever. They'll be fine. Those can get through. Hi, book guy. What's up? Andy is gone. Andy's here right now, it would seem. Is the chat not scrolling for anyone else? Uh-oh. Well, no. I mean, it appears to be scrolling on my end, and my end should be what you see. I see hi, book guy. Wait, no, that's just you. Why don't your things show up on stream? Chat is frozen on screen? Is it? I'm gonna check. If you're lying, you're gonna get timed out. Poor Red Penny. I was gonna let you go if you were a sub, which I thought you were. Red Penny, you're not even subbed. That's 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes. It is just Courier. I don't know why Courier is left out. Courier is, I think, the same Courier that I've had in chat. Which, if you are, hey, what's up, dude? Cool to see you in here. I think I'll keep going with this run of the game until I lose or win, preferably, and then we'll kind of stop. I didn't see the hi book guy comment in chat. Oh, interesting. It may just be laggy. Like, Restream kind of sucks, not gonna lie. That's kind of why we're building our own chat thing. The BGG people are hard at work on that. Okay, you need to be working on something. Where am I gonna put you? We've been kind of cucked on like large modules. Maybe I'll just build out to the side here and see about that. I've been lurking this whole time. Interesting. How come you haven't been subbing? Why don't you support me, Courier? I'm gonna pick you out in particular, bro. I'm beg you for a sub. Matter of fact. All right, what got disabled with that? What's fucked up here? Oh, that room. Yikers. Well, that's kind of the only protection I have here, so that's not good. Suppose I could put more defenses here, but oh wow, I don't have a lot of science either. Yikers. Okay, now I'm kind of concerned. Whatever, I'll just... Oh, wait, we have modules in this room. Okay, we'll put one there. Put two here. Maybe. I'll be fine. Leave him there. Bring her way over here and open these doors.
Bye, friend.
Courier? Bringing it in with the sub. Who says guilt tripping doesn't work? I've watched enough Invader V to know that that's the way to go. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the content that you lurk and enjoy. Stepping out of the woodwork to let me know. I appreciate that. That's very cool of you. Welcome to the club. I hope that just repeats forever and ever and ever. Hope this is a forever sub. Boy, it's gonna be so much. It's gonna be nice to plug subs for once when I do BGG. Right now it's tough because what I don't want to push you guys to do is to spend money on Amazon. Because right now, 50% of every subscription goes to Amazon. To push it, knowing that, right? Like, it's like I'm pushing you in equal parts to support Amazon and to support me, which feels weird because I'm somebody who is like pretty against Amazon and the way that they behave and stuff. So it's difficult. But when 100%, or I think it's maybe 4% or something, is going to like the payment provider and the rest is going to me, it's a lot. Then I will be okay with putting like a sub goal on the screen and like attaching goals to it. But right now it just feels uncomfortable knowing that. I'll probably forget about it. Excellent. That's what I want to hear. Is your on-screen chat a mix of Twitch and YouTube? Yes, it is. After BGG is done, then it'll be a mix of whatchamacallit. It'll be a mix of all three. It'll be BGG, Twitch, and YouTube. And we'll do funny things where if Twitch or YouTube pisses me off, I'll just disable them. I'll just disable them and only show one or the other chats or whatever. And I think that'll be a bit of a fun meme. That's why they didn't see some of the chat in Twitch chat. Ah, perhaps. YouTube also is finicky with their API and collecting information and stuff. Speaking from first-hand experience with the BGG team. So it could just be that YouTube is being problematic. Would not surprise me. Wow, we have a lot of food. Let's start upgrading people, huh? Let's upgrade you. Let's upgrade you. Let's upgrade you. Let's upgrade you. Everybody gets an upgrade. Fuck it, dude. All right. I think you should also get a hand vacuum as well. Defense and attack power. Let's see if anybody else has space for that. Oh, you do. Cool. Okay. Alrighty. That's why, talk about paradigm shift. That does it mean? What does it mean? A paradigm shift? That's like a meta shift kind of, right? If we were to use Twitch terminology. A paradigm shift is when like the whole view or the whole situation of something changes at once, right? And it has a bunch of consequences that fall down the line. I don't know. It's a word. I don't understand it. Well, that's what I would say. Like, you could say that maybe the invention of some kind of technology is a paradigm shift because it changes the way everything, or maybe Roe v. Wade is a paradigm shift, or maybe the most recent Supreme Court case, if it comes out the way that it's supposed to come out, given the brief, maybe that would be a paradigm shift. Work from home becoming popular due to COVID is an example of a paradigm shift. Yeah, that too. Excuse me. I don't know why I have so many burps. I haven't had soda or seltzer or any of that today. I wanted to get it at the grocery store, but I forgot my bags. And here they're kind of like Nazis about bags. So I didn't have bags at the grocery store, and I didn't want to carry the waters all the way home. And so I kind of just dipped. Didn't get everything that I wanted to get. Ooh. The game was freezing a bit there. Whoa, what's going on here? Oh, just kill him, bro. Just kill them, forehead. Come on, you got that. Speaking of which, I'm gonna get a bit of cheese. Also, good to see you, Kamikaze. I feel like I haven't seen you in chat in a while. Because I recognize you from other streams. I love cheese. Today we're having Danabo cheese to celebrate covering drama that Danabo is involved with. Ah, it smells like feet. Don't clip that. I don't need any more people saying I like feet. There's not a good rumor. Not a good rumor, friends. Okay. I still don't have a lot of science. Kind of disappointing. Wow, look at all the dust. We'll collect that and we'll find a place to drop a new... Man, there's like nowhere I can go to put a module down. We got kind of cucked this round. I guess I'll put that there. I can't fix these with this person. I'd have to move her off of a machine. Yeah, I've seen you in quite a few places, never really talked to you directly, which is a shame. It is a shame, because a few times that I've seen your comments, I've actually enjoyed them, so... Like, sometimes I remember people for bad reasons. You're not one of those people. I only remember you for good reasons, so I don't know if that means anything to you, but it does to me. So many chatters, I remember them for like arguing with them, or they post paragraphs. Not to say that's bad, Tommy, but you know, like I remember them for other reasons that aren't necessarily positive. And for you, it's like purely positive, so there should be something good. Like Nicole. Nicole's another example, like purely positive. Nothing but good things to say about Nicole. A lot of people say that for some reason. It makes me feel like I'm actually a useful chatter. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's just that you only say something when you have something to say as well. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes chatters will post a lot, but it's always like, heck W, Omega Lol, try hard, Pepe La. But like, they don't like contribute anything meaningful. So you just kind of remember them for spam. Maybe it's like the few times you say something, it's insightful and helpful, and so that's what you're remembered for. It could be that if you chatted all the time, you'd actually be a shitter, and I would have a terrible opinion of you. So, I don't know. I would give you the advice to post more often, but if it hurts your street cred, you know, then, you know, there's some kind of balance to strike there probably. Bro, the trailer to Avatar 2 just dropped, bro. Blue cats and bro blue cats? Maybe I'll check that out. You know what? I'll watch it after we finish these rounds, which hopefully will be soon. Actually, hopefully not. Hopefully I make it all the way through. I hope we get through this round really quick because I'm fucked. I don't have enough, like... I don't have enough spaces to put these big modules to get me resources, so I feel like I'm wasting time here. Yeah, I don't see anywhere else I could put stuff. Like, ugh. Come on, bruh. I mean, maybe I could remove a couple of these and put stuff over here, but then they're really close to the crystal. I don't know. I don't know. Rough round, honest. Rough round. Rough round, Raggy. Things here. Depends. I can be pretty spammy in primes. Oh, you're a prime Kai chatter? Ay, ay, ay. This is what I'm talking about by if you talked more, maybe I'd like you less. A prime chatter? Yuck! That's a pretty big self-report, friend. I chat across the board. You chat across the pond over in Prime Land, bro. Don't know about that one. Someone has to be the voice of reason book. Yeah. Maybe of all the places to spend your chat messages, that should be the place. They need your help the most. Let's see. I say that, but I haven't been to a Prime Kai stream in... Oh God, so long. So I don't know, maybe... Actually. There we are. That's fine. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Book, have you read or listened to J. Krishnamurti? No, I don't know who that is. Never heard of that. I'm sorry, but in all honesty, I only typed that because I like the way you say bro. Huh. Okay. Is it because of my accent? If so, that's the first time I've been discriminated against based on my accent. Feels good. I actually like it. Kind of kinky. I like accent play. Oh, never mind. We're back. Okay, cool. Interesting. Google always thinks I'm talking to it. I'm not talking to you, Google. Stop. The other night, I was like in a Discord call, like in the bedroom, and I hear a voice from the living room, and it was the Google Home, like saying, "I'm sorry, I cannot understand you, blah, 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 blah." I was like, oh my God, that bitch is always listening, bro. That's kind of freaky. I don't know how I feel about that. Said F because I thought stream failed, but no more. I mean, like, we've been having problems this stream. I think next time I stream, I'll probably do it off of my phone Wi-Fi, and then we won't run into problems, methinks, but I don't know. Let's see here. I don't think we have any doors left, so I'm pretty sure we just crystal run at this point. Which means I'll cut off all the lights, put them all down here. Bada bing, bada boom. And then we'll put, who should we put on it? Let's put her on it. This. Okay, activate his ability. Boom. Get everybody meet in this room. Boom. Reposition her to here. Boom. Wow, you're really slow. Too slow. I'm eating some delicious ass frosted chocolate cake that's a flower pot. Nice. Well, I hope it was intentional that it's flavored like ass, because it's certainly not what I would want my cake to taste like, personally. But I'm glad you're enjoying it. I guess that's all that matters. To each their own. As we said before, some people like spicy curry, some people like the taste of ass, you know? Kind of gross, but, you know, to each their own. We all have different taste buds, or a lack of taste buds. Some of us are like hyenas. I don't have any of that shit. Okay, figure we'll put this down. Get her working on it. Go in the next room. I'm gonna speed run this shit. I want to get through it quick. Real quick like, okay? Oh, one of you needs to stay behind. Probably you. All right. See what we can work on here. Absolutely nothing. Wonderful. Hopefully we'll find enough dust for another. Ooh. That'll work. That'll work. Okay. Bigly. Very bigly. Keep her moving. So far, I'm liking this setup. We're getting very, very lucky here. I'll put a couple of these in here because I'm going to keep these rooms unlit. Sorry to the party people at home. We're definitely keeping this unlit. That's for sure. Wow, another. Could I be lucky another time? Wow, okay. Major luck moment. Put that there. Keep going. I saw a dead cardinal on my walk home from school today. Oh, that's sad. That's kind of sad, bro. How did that make you feel, though? Did it make you excited or did it make you sad? Kind of, this is a I'm going to judge you moment, depending on how you answer this question. I wonder. No, I'm really scared I asked that. I don't need another one of these. I'll just leave this one. Actually, should I? Maybe. I feel like past a certain point, these aren't worth it, but if I keep winning that gamble, then I'll keep doing them. Well, this has gone much better than I had expected. Cardinals are friggin' everywhere. Are they? I don't know. We didn't, at least all the places I lived in California, we didn't have cardinals, so I don't know about that. We had like pigeons and doves, which I'm learning are like the same thing, but yeah, we had those. We had crows, but we definitely didn't have cardinals. So. I used to think they were rare. Huh. I mean, I think it's like anything else, right? It depends on where you live. In some places they're going to be rare, in some places they're not going to be, right? Can you rate Zacap? Because he's my favorite streamer. Didn't Zacap raid in here? Wasn't that Zacap earlier that raided? Or did he go back online? Or she or they? I guess I don't know their pronouns. I'm from West Virginia and I see them every day. Nice. I don't know. Cardinals are cool looking birds. I think it'd be cool to live around a bunch of cardinals, but maybe they're fuckheads and they bother you. I know mockingbirds are a little bit annoying. Like I would prefer not to live around mockingbirds, but I guess I'm either indifferent or interested in other kinds of birds. They're not going to attack the crystal. We'll be fine. That, however, will. Some life smarts for you. I've been telling every stream, but you haven't been on. Okay, let me hear it. The other week, I got accepted for a master's in human rights law at York, which is a Russell Group uni analogous to Ivy Leagues in the UK. Still waiting on other applications to come in before I accept, but exciting. Yeah, like, I think it would be exciting to have the concerns about where you would go or if you would have opportunities out. Like if you know that you've already been accepted to a kick-ass school, then anything else that comes down the line is either extra or like not important, right? Because you already have the ability to accept at the good school. That's really cool though. If it's like the Ivy Leagues and stuff, that sounds like a big deal. I'll take your word for it. That's really cool. But yeah, like, I don't know. I remember when I was applying to schools, a scary part was like, you know, are any of them going to say yes? Am I at least going to get one that I actually like and not my like plan B or plan C schools? And so once you get one, then you're like, okay, well, I'm Bing shilling then. Like, as long as these other schools like get back to me or whatever, or if they don't, I don't care because I'm already good. He bugging because he says he gets 2 follow average per stream. I mean, Twitch isn't like a discoverability thing. You have to network with other people. I'm totally unfamiliar with this person. Does Zacap like do anything else? Like, do they do like panel shows and stuff, or like what are they doing to network? Canadian geese are the worst. Yeah, I suppose they're mean, but I feel like they don't go out of their way to be dickheads to you. Whereas like magpies and stuff, I think do, but That's just what I hear. But have I occupied all my crystals? I haven't. I'll go do this one. It's paradoxical. On one hand, I'm super happy because it means I'm going down my path, achieving my goals excellently, but also now it means, okay, I've been accepted by this one. Why aren't they accepting me? And I want to have everything in so I can finally make my choice. I guess it feels to me that in that situation, you're bending over backwards to be like stressed out about things, but maybe I'm just somebody averse to stress and avoid thinking like that, but I don't know. It sounds like that's a good kind of stress to have, if it's any kind of stress at all, right? Like, I guess you can want to hurry them along to make their decision and then worry why they aren't. But it's not worry, it's like impatience, right? Like, come on, bruh. If this school's accepting me, what the fuck is taking you guys so long? I'm clearly worth it, you know? I think that's a very different feeling than maybe not getting any answer at all from any of them, right? Okay. Will that be caught by anything? Probably not. I'm gonna have to run after it. If you got book guy to write your essays, maybe you'd get in faster. Well, no, I mean, if they were accepted on their own merits, it's probably a lot better than having me do it. I'm not a college student. Definitely, lol, I'm not super stressed, just like, come on, I'm super hyped, Lamau. Don't mistake me for being ungrateful or anything. Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm not going to the ungrateful angle. I'm just saying, like, it sounds like it shouldn't be stressful, but you're making it stressful is all. Zakap would be interesting on Hippy Dippy, actually. Well, the would be seems to imply to me that he doesn't do Hippy Dippy, or they don't do Hippy Dippy. If you could give me their pronouns, that would be another helpful question to have answered. Well, my mom's dad died, and she has this thing about how she saw cardinals on his death day, so it made me think of that. I wasn't really excited or sad, more just curious because its feathers are moving in the wind, and I was wondering if it was still alive. It was on the curb of a crosswalk. Cardinals are the state bird in North Carolina where I live. I see probably 3 a day, and I think they are pretty. How is it living in North Carolina? Hyphen. I'll just call you Hyphen because I don't see a proper name there. How is it living in North Carolina? Because I've been tempted to move there. I hear that North Carolina has much more affordable rent, so I could afford maybe a 1 or 2 bedroom place and do streaming from there and not pay a ton of money per month. I've been thinking about it, but I just know nothing about North Carolina, so it feels like a huge jump. Granted, I moved to entire countries on the hope that my hosts are being serious about their saying that they want to host me and stuff. So I make all kinds of leaps and bounds in faith and trust and lifestyle situations. But it is scary to move to a place for months not knowing. That feels like it's a bit more of an impactful decision. North Carolina, low cost of living, hot and humid as fuck. Well, I suppose if I had AC and stuff, I'd be fine though, right? So does that mean when you shop around in North Carolina, you look for a place that has good heating and cooling so that you don't get fucked? Let's see here. Geese block the road when they have potable water. They walk in gangs all in the same direction. Then if you walk up to them, a bigger one comes up to you and starts honking at you. Yeah, but stay away from where gooses live, I feel like. Maybe same with magpies. Like, I don't know. If you know it's going to be a pissed off animal, maybe you don't go where the pissed off animal exists. But I guess that could be annoying because it's like cordoning off part of your city from you. But I don't know, dude. But you also get mountain ranges and water rafting and beaches. Yeah, that all sounds fun. I don't know how much of that I would go out and do, but motorcycle riding and stuff would be nice, I figure. I could bring my motorcycle there and probably have a good time. That was not a smart buy, but whatever. You're correct. He doesn't want to dip into drama. Perhaps he doesn't want to do panels. Ah, okay. Well, smart man. I mean, don't get started. Otherwise, you get hooked on that drug. If you start thinking all of your success comes from your panel appearances and stuff, and you think that's the only way to grow because it's the only way you've seen growth that means anything to you, then you're going to be stuck doing something you don't like for a long, long time. That sure is not a fun place to be, I can tell you. So, yeah, maybe that's smart. Maybe that's for the best. Man, I'm going to lose that, aren't I? No, apparently not. I am, however, going to spend the money on this and wipe these motherfuckers out. That didn't work. Okay. Rip. It was all my dust. Watch as my room slowly become unlit. It could have been worse. I've lived in North Carolina for a while, but I've never left my house. Jesus Christ. It's also north of South Carolina. That I am well aware of. Why, is South Carolina better? And you're like, well, I mean, if you didn't like it, you could just go to the South. Because my impression of more southern countries is that they're less good, but maybe that's my bias there. Let's put this here, put this here. Geese used to breed next to the parking lot of my old work. It sucked. Yeah, I guess if they like put their eggs and stuff there, that could be especially annoying. Them southern states are cheap as fuck. Yeah, I know. That's kind of why I'm thinking about moving there. Because I can't afford California unless my friends get a house and then I rent with them. But, yeah, I'm in a bit of a precarious situation at the moment. Okay, they went there like idiots. Wonderful. Ay, ay, ay. No. Kill it now. Kill it with fire. I think I need to upgrade my people. I think that's what's going on here. I have a shit ton of food. There we go. I was a golf cart beverage Wait, no! What the fuck, bruh? Alright, I'll move him there. May as well. I've already moved him off a machine. Fuck, man. Oh, man. That one's unlit. What to do? I was born in South Carolina. It was always a super friendly place, but crime is ugh. That's not good. You want to chat about the Chud convo? Sure, why not? I'm bored. Let's see. If you just call me, I'll answer it. IRI. Actually, I should call you. I should take the initiative here. I should call you.
Yo.
What's up?
I'm good. I didn't see any of your review. I'm assuming you were not happy with said conversation.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's not just a you thing. It's definitely... I just think you guys have very different opinions on this, and Chud is bought into behaving the way he behaves. Oh, can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Yeah, it broke up. It broke up a little bit. I think it was on my end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just think you guys are like, you fundamentally believe different things, and you know, your streams and your brands and everything are built on these different things. So there's no way you're convincing Chud to not be toxic, and there's no way like he's going to convince you that it's okay to insult smaller streamers, you know?
True. Yeah, that conversation was a great learning experience for me. I would have done a bunch of things differently for sure. But I'm glad I did it, because trial by fire, and you know, you got to just kind of do stuff to learn.
Yeah, for sure. When you say that there is stuff you would do differently, what are some things you would look back on and want to do differently?
Well, I came in very, very hot, and it didn't seem that hot to me at the time, but listening back on it, it's very cringe. So I just say I soyed out in the beginning and throughout. So I would have just, I probably wouldn't have like cursed as much, and I just would have had more of a flow and build up to something more. Let me think what else I would do differently. I think I would have just emphasized my point that, hey, like if you want to make fun of someone for their view count, that's up to you, but I wouldn't make it like the core of your argument. I would try to avoid that, because I feel like it's kind of an immutable characteristic online as a content creator, and it's kind of hurtful and it pushes people out. So I don't know. I would have just phrased it a little better, I guess.
Okay. That's interesting, because I don't think you coming in hot was like a problem. Like, at least when I talk to you, you talk about wanting to kind of fit the tone of a lot of the places you're going. So if you're going on Hippy Dippy, if you're going on like a Blood Sports panel, you want to make sure that you're heard and that you're kind of matching the energy. And if you go on Chud, I think it should be similar. His people want blood, and that's what's fun to them. So coming in and attacking him. Now, if it's on a point where you lose, then yeah, it's not good. But you were getting a lot of support in the chat for the times that you were like attacking him. So I felt like it worked in your favor. It could have easily like gone back on you if you came off bad, but it seemed like there were arguments that the chat agreed with. So I don't think that was that bad personally.
That's fair. Sure. I don't remember at the time what he was saying, but I think he was really mad at me. I think that's why, he not really mad, but he was like, IRI, you're so full of shit before I came in there. So I think that's why I came in hot. I think as far as from an entertainment perspective, it was great because it was cringe and it was fighting, and that's what his audience wants. So that's why I say it was a good experience, because when it comes down to it, like in the end, people had a jolly, whether they were saying I'm an idiot or I'm sewing out or Chud's wrong. You know what I mean? So that's why I wasn't like, it was terrible and I'm embarrassed or anything.
Yeah, because I don't think it went like that at all. But what was the other thing?
That's a surprise. That's a surprise you were watching it, because to me it was just kind of a throwaway conversation that I had with Chud. That's like 3 dramas ago. But it definitely opened up the door for me to be involved in a couple other dramas after that, and so that was good.
Yeah, it seemed to have been the start of this Danabo thing and the start of the Dylan Burns thing. So given it was the root of all of that, and I like both of you, I thought even if it's old, I'll take a look at this, because I would watch it on my own time anyways, in prep for that. And so that's why I ended up watching it. But I figured from the beginning, because of the way that you opened up, that it wasn't going to go well, because the other thing is, even if you would have played it nicely and you would have been super calm and really tried to get your point across to Chud, it's not a point that you're ever going to win on. Like a lot of his stream is built around, like, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how big you are. I'm going to, attack you. And it seemed like this person in particular, who you didn't have a lot of info about, was making claims about the larger space or whatever, and so it seemed justified to any logic bro people that he would make fun of their size or bring that into the argument because it was relevant. So it just felt like a losing battle to engage in.
Yeah, I still stand by my point, though, that we shouldn't judge someone's criticism of the space based on their view count. Do you disagree? Do you think that someone who is not successful in the space, their opinion doesn't have as much weight as somebody who is?
I think that totally depends on the opinion. So, for instance, if they're telling people how to succeed in the space and they are not successful themselves, I think that is right for criticism. And I think you should criticize them. And even their view count should be put in their face. Because I think that's like... because imagine who they're speaking to. If they're trying to get you to be successful and somebody is duped into thinking they're successful because they're like, they got 20 viewers or something, or they got 50 viewers last stream, imagine the level of the person who that advice is targeted at. You're talking some like 5 viewer person. You're talking somebody who wants to start Twitch. Like, that's kind of toxic. I don't think that should be allowed. That should be called out by streamers that are in a different league from them. But if they have an opinion about something that should change on one of these shows, certainly not. If you have an opinion about like Hippy Dippy being toxic and you don't think toxicity is good for the space, your opinion is not worth less because you don't have a lot of viewers, right? Like that, in that case, no. Or if you think Chud shouldn't be joking about saying the N-word, like that one tweet that he had a problem with, certainly not. Your view count has nothing to do with the validity of that opinion. But when it comes to giving advice to other people on how to be successful and you yourself haven't achieved success, I think that's fair to bring into question.
I got you. Yeah, I think that these people's criticism of Dylan, which is what it originated from, seemed to be more steeped into the characters he's bringing on the show and how he's running his channel. And just the way he's conducting himself online, maybe I'm misreading that, and less to do with his success as a content creator. So that's why I felt that their viewership shouldn't factor into it. But, that's just how I see it, I guess.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between like their viewership factoring into it and making fun of them for having a small view count, right? And that was another thing where I wondered if that was made clear in the conversation to Chud. Like, you making fun of people for their viewership is different. And you guys almost got there at the end when talking about people that are caught in the crossfire of some of these criticisms, right? Like, well, if I have 5 viewers and I watch you and all of your jokes are directed at people who don't have a view count, that you're boring, you're irrelevant, you're this, you're that. I don't know if that's what Chud said, but like that kind of stuff would be hurtful to me. And I don't think it would be intended to be hurtful to me. And it distracts from your larger argument if you do that. So it's probably not advisable. However, if it's like a huge part of your argument and if it's a logical thing, that's a bit different. But it doesn't sound like you need to have that to make your argument either.
Well, that sounds like a much better way to make the argument than I was trying to do, to say, hey, listen, you're focusing on their view count is just a distraction from your criticism, and is something that it's just taken away from your main argument. That probably would have been 100 times better to say something like that instead of just be nice. You shouldn't bother people about their view count because you'll chase them out of the space or whatever.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding you correctly, if that's what you were saying.
No, for sure. However, Chud has a lot of outs here. So if he said, I'm not trying to make a point at that point, I'm trying to make content and I'm trying to be funny and I'm trying to make a joke, then he gets out of it, right? He's not somebody like Relly, who I think he's always trying to make arguments or whatever. And that's the unfortunate thing is I think Chud abused some outs for like really engaging with you. Like, okay, well, all of your advice is just be nicer. Like Steven does that too. And it upsets me. Like, well, come on, engage with it a little bit more. That's not what he's saying. Like, or pretending that like, it's about never making fun of people. Like, well, no, that's not what he's saying. He's saying this thing in particular. It doesn't just like hurt somebody's feelings. It's like hurting the space. It hurts you too. Like, that is a downstream negative for you, because if there are less viewers, if there's less streamers, if there's less diversity in here, then that causes a problem. That's actually something I've heard you talk about a lot. And so I was hoping that would have been mentioned more there, because for me, that's a really good argument. Like, yeah, a rising tide lifts all ships, and that's something we should consider more.
Yeah, I feel like I made that argument, but it was probably spread via breadcrumb throughout and not in a just a succinct way and clear at the beginning. I think I probably stumbled my way through that argument, but yeah, I mean, that's essentially my argument, that like we need people that even hate us and criticize us in this space because they bring unique perspectives, and it's just kind of part of the territory. So yeah, that's fair. I feel ya. I'm new to engaging in this stuff. I mean, when's the have you ever seen me in a Chudlogic video before? You know, so no. For me, it's all new. And yeah, Chud's a maestro, and a lot of people listen to these streamers, including me, and they think, oh man, I could get in there and I could debate people and I could destroy them if only I get in there. And it's, you know, it looks easy, but when you get in there, it's a little more difficult, even for people like me. But I learn quickly, so I'm just putting myself out there and jumping like cannonball straight into the deep end. So it's a learning experience.
Yeah, and kind of adjacent to that, another thing that you brought up that I felt was really helpful is like, hey, just because you can handle criticism or whatever at like level 80, like and a lot of bigger creators are going to have like level 80 like criticism and people making fun of them or whatever, doesn't mean that the expectation is level 80 for small creators, or that if they're at like a level 5 for tolerance, that means they're going to fail. People grow, and they often will grow at the rate their channel grows. And if you throw a level 80 criticism at them and you point 500 people at them that are particularly toxic to make fun of them and stuff, like that's not like fair to people, and it's not fair to judge their success or failure on the platform on whether or not they can handle that level 80 thing, because that's what's expected of you when you hit 500 or 1,000 people. And I thought that was like a good point, and something that's unfortunate about what Chud does there. Like, you're kind of killing people or like smothering them before they have a chance to really take root and do anything in the space, and that sucks. Like if I had those kinds of criticisms when I started, even if I can handle the ones I'm handling now, if I handled them when I was like a month into this, I probably would have just quit. And who knows how many people are being put in that situation, right?
Yeah, I think you're a bit of an extreme case because you were dealing with a very much larger audience. But I agree, even an audience of 500 who are particularly leaning toxic, that we should not expect new streamers to be able to handle that level of criticism. And I don't blame people for running away from the space if they have a bad experience with a community that size. And I think you're 100% right that people grow. As they grow to be able to handle different higher levels of criticism too. And so I don't think we need to trial by fire everybody and drag them across the coals when they're a 5-viewer Andy by going on Chud, by having Chud take a shot at them. So I don't think that's helpful to weed out the men from the boys, shall we say.
Yeah, and that was a phrase you used that was like, that old-timey shit I like from you.
I don't hear much stuff like that here on Twitch. It's kind of funny. I guess it dates me, but yeah.
I mean, like...
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, they're good phrases for a reason. Like, people use them for a reason, I suppose, in the past.
Yeah, some of the stuff is kind of not as PC, right? I realize some of the things I say are not as PC. So separating the men from the boys, it's kind of like, well, what does it mean to be a man in 2022? Like, what are you implying there, So I have to be careful with some of these things, but I don't think that's one of them. But sometimes I catch myself saying something, I'm like, that's probably not the most PC thing ever. But, I think that your overall point that you're not going to beat Chud on this, like has a brand of, how can I phrase it? He has a brand of being like toxic, and it's tongue in cheek, and so he's just going to be able to say, well, listen, I'm just having a jolly here, and if someone takes a shot at me, I'm just taking it back at them, So it's hard to debate somebody on that playing field.
Yeah, when they found success, when they make all their money doing that, when the subject that we're talking about is like somebody who's going against that as well, like all of the factors are in there for that to fail, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And to some extent he's right. There is an audience for being toxic and or making fun of people, and he certainly is good at like making people laugh at these sorts of things. And I think that's also something that people that come into the space need to confront. Like if I gave any point to Chud's narrative, it's that like, if you complain about this stuff, you're going to be complaining about this stuff the whole time you're here. Like a mixture of your advice and his advice here is like, don't concern yourself with other people running shows that you don't like, because every ounce of effort you spend on criticizing them and whatever are ounces of effort that no longer go towards like what you want to accomplish or what you actually want to do. So don't get distracted with that. Ignore them. Do your own thing.
Yeah, I think it's solid advice, and I do say that quite a bit. So I think it is smart, a combo of the two. Yeah, you can't worry, you can't change anybody. You're literally never going to change anybody. I mean, the only way you could is if you become really good friends with them, and then you have their ear. But that takes time. You're definitely not going to change anybody by sniping at them and bitching about them from the outside. And you're just wasting time where you could be developing your own brand and your own content. So I agree.
Yeah. Unless, of course, you want to make your brand and your content doing that, in which case, like, feel free. But I think most people don't when they start out.
Yeah. I don't think people enjoy. It takes a certain kind of person to just bask in toxicity, because even when I get involved in little dust ups, it just feels gross the next day. I'm like, ugh, I don't like people hating me, and I don't like people watching videos of me and getting mad,
Yeah, and then for some people they really do,
Some people do. It's very strange, and I think that they need mental help. But some people are built for it. They just revel in people hating and creating chaos and getting upset. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I guess interesting is a very nice way of putting it. Yeah. But the thing is, and I've become more like attuned to this on the other side of things, in much the same way that we encourage there to be lots of kinds of people that are positive or that are this or that are that. There also probably need to be other people who are like lol cows or who are trolls or who make fun of other people. Like that is another thing to be fulfilled that we probably need as well. Because those same people that binge that junk food, in my opinion, are also probably going to turn over to the subjects of that junk food and watch that stuff, or to people adjacent to them, you know?
Yeah, that's true. You need antagonists. You can't just have a protagonist. So that makes sense. I never really thought about it like that. I mostly leave people alone. I let them do their thing. It's just when I see my friends doing something, it can bother me if I feel they're better than that. But listen, the video was pretty successful for Chud. It was average. It got like 10,000 views, and I don't think anybody thinks less of me because of it. So I just felt that I created the whole thing from the Stardust panel to that video, and it led to the Danabo thing. And so I was just very proud of how I was able to get that involved and set off that much. Now, it may have been because there was a lack of other drama, and this was what people were willing to accept, but I still was that achievement, quote unquote, over it outshined everything else that happened for me. But I was curious, like, your thoughts about the convo, because I never really heard anybody engage in the actual convo. It was just more like, boy, IRI soyed out, or Chud, you're an idiot. Like, you know what I mean? Most people didn't really engage with the actual content of what we were discussing.
Yeah, and which is so strange because we have so many people doing React stuff that's such a weird sentence. Like, well, nobody engaged with it. Well, then what are they doing? You know, like if
posturing.
But that's so, I don't know. I guess that's why I do what I do, because I can't stand that. Like, I don't know.
Well, I don't think people really want a breakdown of the actual argument. Your community probably does because they're into that. But I don't think the average person wants to understand what went right, what went wrong. They just want to know how people feel about it, and they want to find people who agree with the way they feel so they can feel better about themselves, maybe something like that.
I guess that makes sense. I could see that as well, that they kind of just, they're interested in personalities and opinions and whatever.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, that's why for me it was kind of a learning experience. To, like, you don't even have to be right. You just have to be borderline cringe or loud enough to get some attention, and you can run with something.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of unfortunate, but like your success there and you starting the whole arc and whatever, it kind of proves that like talking about something that you're not really informed or educated on and doing it in a hyperbolic way, like that actually does like start things, and then actually can be like successful, and it often is successful and whatever. So in that way, I'm like torn on it, because like it did seem, and I guess this is like a solid criticism for you, that you were not well informed about the context and whatever. Granted, the context and whatever would make no difference or would have no bearing on whether or not you'd advise Chud not to make fun of somebody's size, if I understand your position correctly.
Yep.
But you know, it is an unfortunate thing, and it could have been worse, you know. Like if this person was a scam artist that, you know, tried to make people pay for a program on how to get rich quick on Twitch, and they have like 5 people, and that was the context, then it would have been pie on your face. But that didn't end up being the case.
I see. So if the smaller creator was actually a very could have been a very negative person in the space, it would be good to bully them out in a sense. Is that what you're saying? Or we shouldn't listen to their opinion because they have nefarious motives.
Well, I mean, that's just a way different like joke. Like if I was joking about that, it's like, well, if anything, like I think beyond joking, you should be actively like calling this person out and driving like people to see this fact about them, because that would seriously change the way that people would engage with them in a way that would be positive for the community, because more people wouldn't be tricked into believing whatever it is that they're saying. And that would probably fall in line with your beliefs about growing the community and stuff. Like, that person would be a cancer on the community at that point.
True.
And joking would be the least of what I think would be responsible to be doing about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't think of steelmanning, like maybe finding a way to steelman my argument. I just relied on the obviousness of the example, but that seems like a pretty weak strategy to come in, and obviously it didn't work, so it is what it is. But to speak to your point of engaging passionately without all the knowledge, I almost feel like that's the cheat code to succeeding in this space. Taking a very passionate position without having all the knowledge and without having your argument fully thought through. It's almost like the recipe for success in this space, because it allows holes to be poked in your argument. It allows other people to feel better. It allows people to build on what you've done. Because imagine if I came in with a rock solid case about not criticizing people's small view count, that would have probably been the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, so it is an ingredient in a lot of people's success. However, it is not like a guarantee of it. And I feel like people that understand that at a meta level and then pursue those opportunities fail. Because if you do that and you learn, like rats that drink nicotine or like pull a lever to get access to food, if you learn that is the way that you do that and you build rituals and habits around doing that, people pick up on it quick. Or you go to like a really far extent, like with infrared and misinformation. I think you start to build a brand around that. And I think the natural way human brains work, like you start to build a brand that's going to isolate you from a lot of people or make a lot of people hate you. And eventually I think you hit some ceiling with that. But sometimes it works out for people for a long time though. So I don't know if that's, you know. Also, it's a sad existence, because if you can't handle criticism and stuff, like Chud was saying, then you get like double fucked, because you're not going to be able to handle people hating you. And there's going to be a lot of people that hate you if you are a dumb fuck and you talk out of place on everything that you talk about.
Yeah, it's true. The thing though, hate is a very good tool of engagement if you can handle it.
Yes, and if you can foster it and direct it at other people, I think that is easier and more in line with perhaps like what Chud or other people does, is if you create outrage and then use the outrage, but you're pointing it at somebody else, that's a lot better than being the outrage. That's a lot bigger of a gamble, I think.
That's fair, yeah. I think I won't take up more of your time. I got to get ready here soon anyways. But I think what I've realized about myself is that because of my age and my background or whatever, and being a liberal in this space, that my takes are a little less accepted than most people, as long as I'm forthright and just say what I think without trying to cater to the crowd. And it almost upsets people with some of the things I say, like we should just be nice or you shouldn't bother small streamers, right? Like that's not a very popular thing to say. So I'm trying to just lean into that a little more and farm a little bit of outrage, I guess, because I found that I can handle it for the most part. Like, for example, Chud's community, they think I'm soy and I'm an idiot on everything I say, right? Which is great, because Chud and I are on great terms. And it's all fun and games for me, but if I can upset his crowd and then he says something nice about me, then I've won them all over, you know? It's like, well, IRI's cringe, but you know what? We like IRI.
Yeah, I suppose if you can get that at the end of it, it's good. But first impressions are huge. And if your first impression to new viewers or other people is that, then it would be worse.
True. Yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of something new that I'm navigating as I try to expand my appeal. Try trying to go beyond the walls of C-SPAN enjoyers and saying, well, let's see if I can actually influence the space. Let's see if I can expand my viewer base and have a little more fun and try to bring in some more people. And it's working so far, but it is something very, very new. And there's going to be stumbles, and this was one of them with Chud. But it was a great learning experience, and I don't regret anything.
And I don't think it. I don't know. I don't know what other people have said about it, and some people are gonna hate you no matter what about it. But like, I don't think you performed that bad, especially looking at the chat responses to some of the moments. Like, even when Chud was like, "Well, if I look at my chat or whatever," and then we read his chat, and they're all like saying like loser POV and stuff. So I don't think it went as bad as you're saying. But also to that point that you just made about like trying to do this and get people to watch you or whatever. One moment that happened in there was Chud saying like something along the lines of, why don't you stick to like C-SPAN or something like that? Why don't you go back to that? You're stepping out of your lane. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, what I found funny about that is like, but he's still having success at making all this stuff happen because of that. Like, it doesn't take a special kind of person to do this drama nonsense, I think, as long as you can handle the criticism and be funny. But it does take a special kind of person to do what IRI is doing. And so I think it's almost a little bit threatening if you can step out of your lane and find yourself like successful in these dramas, because I think that is easier to do than to stay up to date and informed on the things that you do. That's way harder, and way fewer people could do that are streamers, in my opinion, and be successful at it.
Yeah, that I appreciate that, and that's why I think that I'm the biggest sleeper threat in the space. And I think if anybody's going to blow up, it's going to be me, because I have that, and I have that community. And so it's not just, oh, which person's talking drama day. It's like, no, there's like this whole community over here that's into something. So I think, yeah, if I can step more and more to the drama, it's just gonna expand my appeal, which is my ultimate goal, to get more people interested in what I'm doing. Because I think C-SPAN is drama, as well as I do. Like, most of the stories I focus on are crazy people. I don't talk about like little bills going on. I sneak them in there, but I try to put it in a sugar cube, about, look at the crazy Marjorie, look what she's up to here.
Yeah,
so.
and I think it works well. And I think if you could just get more people in the door to like spend an hour there, I think you'll have a way bigger audience. On that topic, however, I think that it is helpful to follow the Destiny model of picking the big, correct people, and that's going to be the main strategy with this pissing people off thing. Because if you're willing to bite the bullet on that, then you could pick the people that drama is revolving around as well. Like, let's say tomorrow Rhizome says something stupid about some particular topic and everybody disagrees with them. Talking to Rhizome about that, or like taking a position or a side that is totally counter to that and being this inflammatory and whatever, and then being reasonable old you in the conversations with people, like, or bringing some more of that reason than the ratio that we saw with Chud into those conversations, I think would bring a lot of people in the door for you. And so I'm interested to see this play out for you, this new approach.
Yeah, I agree. What I realize I have is access. Even though I'm kind of on an island by myself with the C-SPAN stuff, I can talk to anybody I want, essentially, whether it be Vosh all the way down to a smaller streamer. So it does allow me to get involved in anything I want, which is good, I think. So I'm just kind of figuring out how can I do that, stick to my principles, and walk away without people thinking less of me, I guess. So it's just kind of new territory. But I like what you say. You got to pick the winners. You got to pick the Destiny model. Yeah, he's really good at picking the right side on things.
And that's the tough part, is that balance. That's another thing I'll be looking out for, is like not to lose yourself in it. Don't get used to pulling on that lever and feel like you have to all the time because you want to gorge yourself with viewers or attention or whatever. Like, really picking those fights and not like changing your positions and shit to like capitalize on the opportunity.
Yeah, Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think my time in the space helps me with that because I've seen so many ups and downs after almost 4 years here that I'm not drawn like a fly to the latest. And I think a lot of newer streamers do suffer from that, where something goes well and they're like, ooh, I need more of that now. I can't wait 6 months for another hit. So, and I've got my community, which I'm really happy about. So I think it's exciting. I think this is an interesting time for me in the space, not to toot my own horn, but I think I think the sky's the limit right now, and things can blow up by the midterms. People will be like, why does this guy have 700 people watching him? You know, like, well, I can give you a long list if you want, but all these steps starting to add up.
Yep, that is for sure. And having that community really helps, I think, as well, because you have that base of people, and that's what so many people don't get at the start, you know? So many people who I think could be successful.
Yeah. I think it's more important to move slowly through the growth process. 5 viewers, 20 viewers, 50 viewers, 70 viewers, you know, on and on. Because you learn things at each step of the process. You know,
nobody wants to hear that, but maybe.
No, but everybody wants 1,000 viewers and Destiny money, and it's like, dude, it's not a recipe for success. Like, you've got to grow slowly. Like any career, you've got to learn along the way. Well, what is the plan here? What are you playing this game? What is it? I feel like you played this before. Is this FTL or something like that?
This is a Dungeon of the Endless. They make a bunch of games called like the Endless franchise or whatever. It's like you open doors, and then once you find the exit, you got to run the crystal to the exit. I did it because so I'll actually run this by you just real quick. I've been thinking. Yeah. If I just make sure that I'm doing something that I really want to do, whether platforming wise, like maybe listening to something that's really important, or sharing like a community event, if I pair that with a drama thing that is for the viewers, and I transition from one to the other so that viewers feed into that thing, I think that's a way easier way mentally for me to like chew on the idea of doing this stuff that's really toxic and whatever. And I think that's what I'm going to keep trying to do moving forward. Like today we covered your thing, and then I transitioned over into listening a podcast called Opening Arguments, yeah, I think it's called Opening Arguments, and it talks about Supreme Court cases and their outcomes, and it's a lawyer and a comedian, and they kind of go back and forth on what they thought. And I wanted to plug that, and so I combined that with the drama thing, and so I think I'll do that more. I think it might help me mentally.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to keep yourself streaming, because as long as you lay it out for people like, hey, the first hour we're going to do this and then we're going to do that, and people start to get used to that, then I think it's great, because I think that's the only way you do variety content, is by telling people what's going to happen when and sticking to that. I know schedule anything is difficult, but if that works for you, then I think you may have found a solution, like a way to keep yourself consistent, because I think that's the hardest part for any streamer, and yourself included, is just consistency. But yeah, if you can stomach an hour of some drama, and then you can do whatever you want, and even end the day with playing some games, and everybody knows that, then they'll come for the specific things that they like, and perhaps they'll bleed over to the other stuff. And I think it's a nice balance.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. And I hope your thing works out too. I hope you're able to get more people in the door with this kind of stuff, and be a name that's on more people's tongue, because that's what I think. And I like seeing it. Like, I saw it in a Destiny clip recently where he's like, I'm the only person that like does X and Y and Z, and somebody was like, what about I'm really important? I think it might have been Like It, and he was like, well, yeah, I guess like IRI, but that's it. And like, I think that's uber flattering. If I was you, that would be like, damn, okay, I'm doing something right, you know?
Yeah, that was a great clip. That was some guy from Chud's community who went on the call there, named The Coop. And I think if I hadn't engaged with all the other streamers and been involved in some drama, my name wouldn't be at the top of mind for a lot of people. So it kind of feeds into that. But yes, Destiny saying stuff like that is so huge, because it's not like 5 people will go follow me because of that. It's just like they will now watch me because Destiny said I'm good, and so that kind of shout out's huge. So yeah, I agree. Something's working. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. The drama stuff is new to me, but I think I could play it. Like, I mean, if these guys can play it, I can play it. It doesn't seem too hard.
That's what I'm saying.
And I did have some drama. Did you hear about that Lexibat person was like really angry at me? You probably saw the clip I put on my Twitter.
That was the person that was upset about you on some trans adjacent issue, and then you brought them on and spoke with them, and they got to like you at the end of it. Is it that?
Yeah, and some people even talked about that conversation and watched it. It's there's more people than just Irrelevant, Chud, you, or like even Cherry when she did it or whatever. Like, there's quite a few people who watch these little dramas and conversations, and it tends to spread. But it was like a little bit of a drama in the leftist circles for a while, so that was created out of that. That was totally different. That was out of a conversation with James and I. So, yeah.
Do you
I just bring it up
streaming with James and
because
stuff?
It was another drama.
Like, is James cool? Should I watch more
I like
of him?
I like James as a person, but what I realized after that conversation is that he's just cannot stop with the performative. No matter who he's talking to, he just has to put on this sort of showboatiness, and his community likes it. And I just don't want to engage with that. I want to have serious conversations with people. I don't want someone making jokes. Like, when I talked to him, the title of my stream was Talking to James from the Internet. The title of his stream was Dropping Truth Bombs on IRI. It's like, well, like, we're having 2 different conversations here. So I've had enough of it, and I just want to have honest conversations with people. I don't want to put on a show.
I mean, that's fair enough. And if that's what you want to, or you want to be on board for that, if that's something that's going to happen, like you said with this drama stuff, if that's really something you want to do and you want to push, you want to make happen, it should be on your terms. Like,
well, yeah, the framing of that conversation with you're right. The framing of the conversation with James was, hey, we're going to talk about electoral politics, and just like a leftist talks to a liberal and show people we can get along. That was how it was proposed. So yeah, I agree. If it's drama from the beginning, then sure, I'll play along. But yeah, I don't see any value in engaging with him on any serious topic, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, you still have other people. You got Lecture Fan and all of Twitch Politics. I want to see more Lecture Fan content. I love those.
Well, the sad thing is people don't care about drama with right wingers. They care about it with the leftists. Like, one Demon Mama drama's worth 10 right winger dramas.
How strange, right? But that's because she's a good lol cow for people.
Unfortunately, yeah, there's that. But that's all the leftists. Every single leftist is a lol cow. You know what I mean?
I suppose so, yeah.
Like, when you think in the end, like, what are they doing? They're like advocating for like people to call each other tortoise shells or tortoise shells or whatever. Like, it just all of it's a lol cow. You know what I mean? Like, abolishing the cops or revolution. Like, it's just all a joke. So of course the leftists are the ultimate lol cows, and they get a lot more interest when you engage with them. Don't get me wrong, I like their passion, I like their enthusiasm, and I think it's awesome that they're interested in politics to any degree at all. But I mean, in the end, I mean, if you were to tell anybody in the real world what these people are talking about, they would be laughed out of the building. Whereas a conservative, people are like, well, yeah, I got a friend who thinks like that.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Maybe that's why they're all kind of lolcowy, because we all are. Even the people that believe in them earnestly, I think they're kind of, I would like to think that they're kind of on the same page that, well, I mean, but if I were to be a betting man, I'm not, getting this stuff done. It's more the principle.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, they don't think of themselves as lol cows. They think that they're the geniuses in the room, which is fascinating. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't get any traction if I engage with right wingers. But I am that is the bigger picture though. So that's why I am kind of doing debates now, like with Stardust. Stardust and I had a decent debate with Andrew and his wife from BPF. So I want to do more of those debates because to me that's the big stage. Like you go to IRL debating events and you debate right wingers. You're not really going to debate leftists. So there is value there to debate them at least, just so I can get to the next level. Because by 2024, I want to be one of the big boys on the scene. So that includes being able to debate in person and get invited to stuff, I think.
And I think you've said before, but is your goal still to have better access to IRL events and stuff like? Because this sounds like in line with that. I know you wanted better media access to like political events and whatever. Is that still the end goal for you, or has that changed?
Yeah, I think the end goal is to raise my profile and leverage that into mainstream media at some point, but that would require me to prove that I can be like 100K Twitter account or something like that, and then I can go over to CNN and be like, okay, let's talk about how I can get involved as like a live streamer in some capacity, or how can we evolve the game here a little bit. So that's the ultimate goal. But I have to raise my profile dramatically, and right now the lane to do that in is like what Bosch or Destiny has done, or someone like that.
Got me tempted to follow you up and start commenting and educating myself on this stuff, IRI.
Well, look, it took me 4 years to get to where I'm at, like including with my education of politics, which I don't know that much, but I can just recall a bunch of stuff, and I've seen a few things to reference them. But it's been a long journey. I don't think most people would have agreed to take 4 years to get to where I'm at. Especially now with Twitch politics, people have no patience at all. It's like, if I don't have 200 viewers, then I'm failing. It's like, dude, you don't even know what we went through to get to this point. And now we're starting to build the YouTube, which I think is could be a great opportunity for as well. Like Stardust is streaming over there. I'm starting to stream a little bit, and we're starting to develop we have the opportunity to develop a little community like Twitch politics over on YouTube.
Yeah, and given your long-term thinking and your willingness to put in the time with Twitch, that's another example of like a long-term thing that'll pay off for you. In 4 years from now, you'll be like, I got fucking 100 views a video, 500 views was like, holy shit, man. And
yeah. I am a slow grinder. When I was 18, it was all or nothing, and I needed instant gratification, and I got it with the music video, and my acting, and then my acting career fizzled. Well, I got injured, so it kind of screwed it all up for me. But I saw that you need a base. You need a solid base if you want to have a long career in something, and so that's why I'm just like, I'm cool with just grinding.
Well,
learning.
It's good you learned that early on, because it's a thing that factors over time.
Yeah. No, a lot of people go all their lives scratching lotto tickets, just waiting for that big break, And if only I got this one thing, if only I met this girl, if only I got that dream job, like, you know what I mean? It's all, they're just banking on luck. And I don't think that's how life works.
No, you got to make your own luck a lot of the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate your thoughts on the video. Did you watch that because you were paid to watch it, or did you volunteer did you want to watch that?
I volunteered. I wanted to watch it.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my God. I heard.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm starting to if I would click it on YouTube and watch it, which I had this in my watch later I was going to do, I'm just trying to do it on stream for people.
Okay. Okay. I was just curious. I wouldn't have been offended if you got paid to watch it as like one of those garbage videos, that people like on your screen right now.
Yeah, the Suffer streams. Yeah.
The Suffer one. Yeah. I was like, well, what if it was one of his Suffer ones? By the way, guys, if you want to see Booksmarts, watch Demon Mama versus Vegan Gains. That's a torturous one. I would like to see his response to that.
Don't encourage them.
I don't think you would do it today, but probably your next stream.
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate your time. Have fun. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you too. And best of luck on this new arc. I'm excited to cover it as it keeps happening.
Heck yeah. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye. That was I'm Really Important. Let me get them a shout out in the chat. I'm really important. That's all one word. That is 3 easy words. They're what I would call Trump words. Them some second grader words. Should be easy to find that fella. Really cool guy. Personal friend. Streamer. Great dude, honestly. He covers electoral politics and he listens to C-SPAN. His sub goal, like every day, is that he'll hit it and then he'll listen to C-SPAN calls. And I don't know if he still does this. He gives the biggest contributor, the biggest gifter, the opportunity to pick a date in history that they would like to go to listen to them. And if you're unfamiliar with C-SPAN calls, C-SPAN is like government programming in the United States. And what they do is they take in calls and they divide them by the political aisle that the person falls in. So they'll have a Republican line, an independent line, a Democrat line, and they'll be like, so today, Roe v. Wade appears it would be overturned. We're going to hear from the people. And from the Republican line, Jamie, what do you think? Well, I think that that's wonderful, and I think that these fucking liberals out here killing babies, you should get suck my dick. Okay, and we'll cut out from Jamie. Oliver on the Democrat line. What do you think, Oliver? Well, actually, I was over on the Republican line, but I figure you don't platform them folks, so I put in Democrat. I actually think that, sometimes there's drama like that. People will say they're on the wrong line, and then you have to kind of figure that out once you get to them. They sneak in. But yeah, C-SPAN can be wild. When he says that is its own kind of drama, he is definitely not over-exaggerating. So if that sounds interesting to you at all, electoral politics, now his new drama arc, anything at all, definitely check him out. He is worth the watch and worth the support. The dude has been doing it for a long time. He's not somebody who's going to pull the rug out from under you and do something else the way I'm trying to. You can trust that he'll probably be on that shit for forever. He's a very deeply educated and principled dude who will stick with it. So if that interests you at all, I would highly recommend checking out IRI. Yeah, and we covered his stuff today. His news coverage is S tier, yes. And if you are a liberal who is disillusioned with the current state of things, you're upset about Roe v. Wade, you're pissed that Biden couldn't fucking cancel student debt, all this stuff. If you fit in any of those categories and you feel like you think that leftists are going to take over this country or that conservatives are going to destroy it, whatever, check out IRI, because another good function that IRI serves is as a sanity check. He can really help keep you grounded. He'll hear something like, they've overturned this and that, like the Roe v. Wade thing, that they might overturn Roe v. Wade. And he goes, well, you know what? I think that the Republicans for a long time have been energized by the topic of abortion. And I think that come 2024, this is going to be a huge rallying cry for the Democrats. Republicans, that's one of their main issues. And now it's done. Who is really going to go out there and vote for Republicans now that the issue of abortion is solved for them, right? However, we're going to have this problem for a while. We're going to have the same fuel behind our movement and whatever. And I think people are really going to show up. Like, he switches things around in a way that helps you be positive. And what helps even more is he's not bullshitting. He's not coming up with this out of the blue. He's watching mainstream content in like educational shit like PBS and whatever in C-SPAN, and they're saying the same shit. They're having on like professional like lawyers and stuff, and they're telling you the same thing that IRI is telling you. Well, I think the Republicans have to look out because this is going to be a big issue for the Democrats come 2022. And on into 2024 with the presidency, I think it's going to be a lot harder to get Republican voters to turn out when blah, 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 and they say the same shit that he says. So I just think that if a lot of your news, if a lot of your emotions and whatever is coming from Twitch politics and fucking Cozy and, Twitter and whatever, it's good to bring him into the diet. He is like the vegetables, but he's becoming not just vegetables, but he's like broccoli soaked in butter. He tastes real fucking good. He's like when you fry the fucking Brussels sprouts in the pan with the fucking bacon grease. He's turning into like some real fucking good vegetables that I feel like is particularly palatable. And he gets better and better with like every year. So, I think that it's definitely something that like you're not sacrificing entertainment either. There are some times where he'll just like put on, you know, coverage of like a vote or something like that and not talk a lot and just let it play out, kind of like what I did with opening arguments today. But most of the time he's stopping, he's pausing, he engages with everybody that chats in his chat. He, you know, like I just find it to be an entertaining stream and I think you guys would like it too. You want us to leave the walls? No, you can stay in my walls unless I'm being too loud for you. But no, I mean, like, definitely check out IRI. If it means you have to stop watching me to go watch IRI, honestly, just go watch IRI. I doubt I have anything to say that's more important. And I genuinely feel that way. So, I don't know, bro. That's where I'm at with it. Go watch IRI. He's rad. Cannot recommend him enough. This guy's gonna get fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Get fucked, fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Get fucked, fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. Speaking of getting fucked, we're doing real good in this game. I hope the exit's on this side because we're getting fucked on the lighting situation here. But besides that, I'm actually feeling good. I mean, we're pretty far into this run, so I don't know. I'm not too worried. I definitely want more food, so I'll just build more food. I'm gonna be honest, I got drunk one night and posted cringe, so I'm banned there. Well, IRI does do appeals, so you could definitely appeal it and tell them you're sorry and you were drunk and you're never ever gonna do it again. You know, IRI does work through an appeals process, so if you haven't appealed your thing yet, definitely do. I actually went through my ban list, and one person who I really love is a chatter. Their name is City of Quartz. They were banned. And I was like, that's where City of Quartz has been. That's why they're in YouTube all the time. They got banned on Twitch. And I looked at their chat logs and they didn't say anything offensive. But they were randomly banned by a moderator. They never appealed their ban. They never filled out a form, whatever. So I had no idea. So I DM'd them and I'm like, hey, do you remember why you got banned? They're like, huh, no, lol, pretty random. I'm like, do you want to be unbanned? And they were like, well, yeah, of course. I'd love to be unbanned or whatever. I'm like, then like half of me was like, clearly we made a mistake and I don't know why this person was banned. But the other half of me is like, why didn't you fill out an unbanned form? Like, if you would have, I would have audited this and I would immediately know. But because they never filled out an unbanned form, it was months. It was only because I was like casually scrolling through the list of like ban actions that were taken by mods on Twitch that I found it. And when I DM'd the mod, even the mod didn't remember why the fuck they banned him. I'm like, hey, can you check the logs and see why you banned City of Quartz? And they didn't know. So, or I think it was they might have responded too late. But yeah, there was nothing in the logs that was like offensive or anything. So I don't know why they were banned. It just so strange. Booksmarts, don't be too harsh with yourself. You're great when it comes to analyzing arguments. Even IRI didn't listen to the oral arguments for Roe v. Wade. Don't be too harsh with yourself when it comes to analyzing. I mean, like, was I harsh on myself when I was talking with him about arguments? Was I like whatever, making fun of myself or something? I forget. I was just having fun talking with him and playing the game. And those two things alone make it to where my memory is not going to be too good because I'm not forcing myself to remember. Did they get accidentally shenanigans banned instead of timed out? Maybe, but if they did, it wasn't because of me. IRI was in my suggestions and the rest is history. I found you and Aiko and Supreme. Yeah, Supreme is great. Supreme is definitely awesome. Another like solid pick for people to go and watch. Claire was banned for months because she said Obama after a shenanigans was called, but I unbanned her. That's good. again, if they don't fill out an unban form and they don't like apologize in the form, then they're probably not going to get unbanned, which is unfortunate. But you know, you have to kind of stay solid on some things. You know, the principle of it. It's the principle of it. Somebody's getting fucked. Somebody's getting fucked. 29-3. That's not helpful. I think you should be over here, but I'm not because I don't want anybody to die. Especially not my operators. She just watched on YouTube instead. But then she asked for getting mod and then she terrorized me. Yeah, I know. I know of this. I'm aware. In case you guys don't know, somebody named Claire on YouTube the other day was like, because I was having a bad day with moderation. We had a lot of trolls. And somebody named Claire was like, mod me. I'll help, dude. I'll fix this. And I thought it was the Claire that we knew from Discord, who I feel like I have a good relationship with. And so I immediately modded her. And she subsequently started timing every motherfucker out and banning everybody. And I didn't know because I don't get a feed of moderator actions on my restream chat. It just shows you guys chatting. And so I just see my other mod in the YouTube chat slowly go crazy, but he can't even type stuff to me because he was one of the people timed out. And so this person just goes fucking nuts and they just start timing every motherfucker out in YouTube chat. And fuck, oh my God. That was so awful. That was such a bruh moment, as Too Mad would say. It was very much so a bruh moment for me. Very unfortunate. So yeah, now I'm gonna have to be more careful with that. In hindsight, obviously you should be careful with modding people, but like in the moment when you're being overrun by trolls and stuff and your other moderator is like struggling, like you're kind of pushed to a point where you're gonna accept a solution like that very quickly. And that was where I was at. So yeah, he got fished. I did get fished. Multi-streaming means you get 2 lives. Yeah, I guess so. Should I tell you guys? No, I won't tell you. Should I? Let's just say, soon enough, when BGG opens, there will not be 2 lives. And there will not be 3 lives with the addition of BGG. Let's just say that, okay? That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say. Let's just say there will not be these multiple lives happening anymore, okay? So if you're banking on that as a thing that exists, just know your days are numbered. Soon enough, that will be patched and there will not be multiple lives. Okay? That's what I'll say about that. Tease? I love teasing, dude. I'd make a wonderful woman. I'm getting tired. I need to go to bed. I'm turning into fucking book joker, bro. I gotta go to bed soon. This game is going so long. But I want to finish and see what my score is. Snapchat smarts? Yeah, bro. You know it. Alright, we gotta move everybody and go take this boss real quick. Which means I probably want autodoc shards in here. And then move these guys into there. I'm stoked for any experiment that makes chat accountable. There you go. That's a pro-law person. It's always either everyone is well behaved or it's raining trolls. And I always miss the troll days. I just want to ban people. That's not good. Kind of a self-report of monumental magnitude, bro. What do you mean you just want to ban people? Isn't that toxic? Cross-platform bans? Maybe. Careful what you wish for? Yeah, honestly. We have to deal with some pretty awful nonsense when there's a lot of people in here, so I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy to be raided full of people that are, you know, being toxic and stuff. But luckily that shouldn't happen to smaller creators, which is part of what I was talking with IRI about, you know, like I think it's shitty to put people through like a trial by fire, and then if they don't survive, then you say that they weren't going to be successful streamers in the first place. Like, Jesus Christ, that's really toxic. That's not good at all. And it's not even how things worked or work for people. It's not how any of this works. Oh, fuck. Wait, what is he going to destroy? Oh, mama. Okay, that's fine. Nah, truth be told, I hate banning people. It feels shitty. Yeah. I mean, like, when they're clearly a troll account, whatever, it's fine. When they're, like, saying conservative stuff and we think they're, like, a schizo poster, I feel way worse about it. Like, that could be a real person who just types in, like, an incredibly frustrating and demeaning way, right? And while it's not fun to have a frustrating and demeaning person around in stream, there could be a human behind there that could be, like, rehabilitated and like talk like a normal human if I just like leveled with them, you know? And that's kind of what I worry about, is when those people get banned. It's like, I don't know, is that like a normal ass person that just needs to know that we don't let that shit happen here, or what? Because I would like to have more conservative folks. Like, I do try and appeal to everybody with the streams and be fair and whatever. There are two wolves inside me. One is hungover. Yeah, that's why I like our moderation policy. Yeah, we don't like ban people usually. Most people are good people and they're just having a bad day or say something silly on a whim. Yeah, like Dylan. Dylan's drunk right now. Dylan could say something real fucking stupid. But it doesn't mean that Dylan is like a bad person or needs to be banned or is like an awful chatter or whatever. I get in trouble saying that about particular streamers and stuff too. Like, I'm not just gonna randomly ban a streamer because they did something bad somewhere else. I don't really believe in that. As long as they contribute like positively in my community and they follow the rules and whatever, like, I don't know, bro, I'm not gonna ban them. Not that drunk, but one takes precedence, or however you spell that. I gotcha. But yeah, I gotta go kill this thing real quick. I'm high, it's chill. Oh, okay. Yeah, because being high doesn't make anything bad happen. Being chilling. All right, let's get in here. I'm in there like swimwear. Actually, I could probably put something in here, but I think it'll get destroyed, so probably not worth. Chill then. Excellent. Chatters are ontologically evil. Well, no, they're not, because I don't even know what that word means. I don't know what that word means, therefore it does not apply to them. Checkmate. As long as you don't talk too much philosophy. Speaking of philosophy, Sunsol and Rhizome were talking about consciousness and existence, and I noped out. Yeah, I don't know. You don't have to worry about that with me. Of all the things I don't talk about, philosophy is a big one. And if I do, it's in terms of like living, you know? Like, I'll talk about life lessons and stuff. I'm more into like street philosophy. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a philosophy of the people, not this fucking... Are we conscious though? Like, can we really have any impact over our decisions? Aren't we all just atoms floating around in a cosmic soup, destined to go through the path that we follow? Are we just observers strapped into a car, not of our own design? Well, that's not how I experience it, so I don't think that's super handy to think of things as. Yeah, but it doesn't technically, with science, doesn't that mean that technically we don't have any control? Should I then not worry about criminals being criminals? Like, no, hold on, chill the fuck out, bro. That's not how you experience life, so don't overthink it. I don't know. It's tough for me to stand that stuff. I don't know. I struggle, bro. I definitely struggle. My poor neighbors, dude. Or I should say Lemony's poor neighbors. Fucking dude. Let's put this in here. Do I need this? Wit and speed, I guess. I don't think they need speed. I think they need like maybe attack power. Maybe attack power. They definitely need wit. I don't know. We'll give them wit. I think she should have... that gives her speed. Defense and attack power. I don't know. I don't know anything about the items, really. Even in League of Legends, I don't really read the items, if I'm being quite honest with you. It might not be how you live your life, how I live my life. No, it's definitely not. Have you heard 50 Shades read by Gilbert Gottfried? No, I haven't. I have not. Consider me lucky, because, I don't know, that sounds like a nightmare. Nightmare fuel right there. All right, I need to put something in here to keep this guy protected because he's going to get hurt real bad in there. And I think that's it. I think everything is protected more or less. Maybe that there. I have to be really careful because the enemies now do like a lot of damage and these people are like under-leveled, so I have to be more careful than I normally am. It's bad. I don't want to listen to it. Lebanese? I thought you were in Denmark. There are Lebanese people in Denmark, bro. Chill out. No, her name is Lemonese. Like lemon. Lemon-ease? Ay, ay, ay. There we go. Wunderbar. Maybe I should light this one? No. You know what I should do? I should light this one. And I bet you if I go pay for this thing, I'll get dust. How much you guys want to bet? I bet this will have dust in it. Yeah, maybe not on stream. No, definitely not on stream. I think we get in trouble for that one. I'm not fitting to get copyright striked either. Yes! Give me that fucking dust, bro. Bitch ass out of here with that shit. Boom. Give me some more food. Matter of fact, give me all the food, actually. Bam. I gotta level up my people, bro. Like Moses. Alright, we'll light that. We'll go over here. We'll dig into here. Let my people go. Actually, I won't light that because we have a lot of protection here. Maybe I'll put another one of these here and light this a little bit more. Maybe this. Ooh-wee. I feel like we've had a long stream today. What is the uptime? It's got to be like 6 hours at this point now. Yup. Oh, fuck. Dude, I honestly, I get tired at like 3, and then 4, I like really start feeling it. So pushing to 6 is rough. Like, I just feel myself getting sleepy. And I go all day without getting sleepy. I don't know. Sleep smarts? Yeah. I get real tired, bro. I start saying things I shouldn't say, and then those get clipped, and then people pretend like that's what I actually believe in, or some shit. So annoying. I think a lot of my, like, my Eva take that I had, I think was one of those moments where not only am I talking about anime, so I just talk my ass off, but I think I was also tired because I think that was at the end of like a particularly long stream and I was just talking and talking and talking. And then that will be what gets clipped and then people confront me about it because, you know, it's a time where you're gonna fuck up and people only want to talk with you about your fuck ups. And so it's like a recipe for disaster. Anywho, let me, okay, he has that ability as well. Make sure this guy's okay. Did you say something bad about Eva? I said something bad about the people who like Eva. So, even worse. Even worse, I didn't make fun of the show. I made fun of the people that like it. That got me in some hot water. Maybe you should hop into Discord and chat until 5 a.m. 7. I have been chatting until 7 a.m. Let us correct that, Vels. Vels, you stay until 5 a.m. I stay until 7 a.m. Let's make that very clear. It's a meme because I stay up until 7 a.m. when I go in Discord and I do stuff with my chatters. This works really well for clearing out bosses. I actually have never used her ability like this before. Sometimes these guys get really difficult to kill. Let's see here. What else can I do? I think that's just about it. I could collect that and get one more door open. Eva is literally the best anime. I cannot speak. If I speak, I will be in big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble. Man, she is so slow. I'm loving Odd Taxi at the moment. Odd Taxi's good. I still haven't finished it, so no spoilers. I have to pick that back up and finish it, dude. If Eva is good, then why haven't I watched it? Maybe you're not a man of taste, Mr. Matt. No, I'm hooked on Land of the Lustrous, dude. I think I got up to like episode 4 or 5. I'm hooked on Land of the Lustrous. I gotta finish this. I gotta know what the fuck is going on. Every episode I'm learning more about the world and understanding what's happening, so Land of the Lustrous has me hooked right now. And then after that, I kind of want to get up to date with Fire Force. I know it's trash or whatever. Part of me, I'm hooked on it. I gotta finish Fire Force as well. I love all the schizo animes like Tatami Galaxy. That's a good way to describe that genre. As ableist as it may be, they're schizo animes. I really have no use for a lot of this stuff. Oh, I guess this hand vacuum is better. I've got to sell a lot because I don't have space for all this nonsense. I guess I'll sell this one. No, probably this one. I'll sell this. I don't want industry, but I guess I'll take it, dude. All right, we have our exit. Let's just go ahead and clear out and run it down mid. Okay, we'll put this here, put this here. Man, we have so much dust. All right, you're pretty quick. I'll have you run this shit. And you three. Oh, there was one door left. Whoops. Oh well, not the end of the world. I have the ableist card. It's in my shit. Where is it? Oh, did you forget? Your dementia. I don't know. What, some kind of ableist thing. Fire Force is great. I love the campiness. I love the style and stuff. Like, I wished Maki was kind of more interesting. I don't really understand Maki at all, but even her sketchy Skever or whatever the fuck they call it, sketchy Stevenson. I don't really understand what that ability is. Lucky Skeevy or whatever. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Maki, the girl from Fire Force. What is her ability called? And how does it work? Can somebody look up the wiki and tell me? I don't understand it at all. I just finished the Fire Force manga the other day. Jazul, can you explain to me what the fuck Maki's power is? Lucky Lecher, that's what it is. What does it do? Like I don't really get it. Oh, her name is Tamaki. Oh, whoops, I call her Maki. Her and I are tight like that. Yeah, I don't really understand Lucky Lecher at all. In the anime, it just seems to be a bit of a meme. Maybe in the manga, it's different. She just like randomly takes her clothes off and jumps on people. Yeah, it can be like one of those anime. But I don't really get it at all. It's not even a power. It's like a character trait. To be honest, it doesn't even get explained. What the fuck is that then? So I'm not crazy. They do just dump it on you. They're like, oh, it's that Lucky Lecher again. And it's like, what? And it seems like she's compulsed to do it. I thought it had something to do with her power and it would come up at some point. And I keep waiting that a character will comment on it and will understand, but it never happens. Oh, I lost everything in my backpack. No fucking way. Oh, that sucks. Whatever. Yeah, I keep thinking it'll get explained. It like never is. It's kind of strange. Off-putting is a good way of putting it. Okay, I'll run you. Actually, you'll run. You'll go back, and you'll run. But it doesn't happen in the manga either? Oh. How strange. I wonder what the fuck is going on with it then. Maybe the author just wanted to draw her like in underwear. There is no other good explanation. I would love to be good faith about it, but if it's never explained, it certainly does seem like he just wants to draw her with clothes off. Which I guess, like, power to him, but maybe I'm trying to think, were other characters like that in Soul Eater? Oh my god. Oh, never mind. Get back in here. I'm trying to think, like, in Soul Eater, I guess the cat lady in the very beginning? Who else? Who else in Soul Eater? The twins? Oh, that is right. Yeah, the twin guns. Okay, so he's just an unapologetically pervy dude, or he's trying to cater to pervy people, I suppose. All right, everybody needs to be leveled the fuck up. That's what needs to happen here. Give me a second, because I have 1,000, and that's not good. I'm just gonna spend all my food because we'll make it back in a bit here. Okay, so who has the most wit? Because they need to be in here and working on this. It's definitely him. Okay, which means that I'll keep Yusha in there, whatever the guy's name is. I'll put this here. Put this here. Put this in here. Okay, I think this should be okay. I'll just put her in there. Wait, no, I already bought the stuff. Okay, I'll put her up here. And then we'll run him out this way. I think that's 90% of what drives filler in manga. What ridiculous situation can I come up with to draw more bulging girl crotch? Jesus Christ. Maybe? Bulging girl crotch is an interesting way of putting it. I assume they're more Opie guys than Manko guys, if you know what I'm saying, but maybe, I suppose. Actually, she'll be here, he'll be there. That's a better arrangement, I think. She probably wants more protection than that. She is like a woman in Kentucky, bro. She's gonna need all the protection she can get so she don't get fucked. That's such a bad joke. That's such a bad joke. I need to go to sleep, dude. I need to go to sleep. I'm making more than jokes. I need to go to sleep. We'll put this here. Okay, wunderbar. No, she's gonna stay in there because she's gonna operate. That may have been an unfortunate turn of phrase. Where are you up to in the anime? Is it finished? I don't remember. Where am I in the anime? I forget. I don't really remember the story, bro. I just know. So we passed where we met the guy that lives in Asksa, and they already did their fight. What else happened? I know about the brother. I'm trying to think what the fuck else. The last thing I remember is we met the brother and what the abilities were, and that's it. I think that's what I last remember. Benimaru? Yeah, we met Benimaru. Good old Benny destroys the whole town. Another random fucking thing that didn't make any sense to me. You put the guy in charge that destroys the whole town when he fixes it. Well, I'd rather die to Benimaru, even if he destroys the whole city. Benimaru's one of us. Like, okay, that doesn't make any fucking sense. That doesn't mean he needs to be in charge, though. He destroys the whole town every time he does anything. Well, we got really quick at repairing things. And those damned imperialist Japanese with their fucking empire, like, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on? I'm like so confused. That's a cultural thing, you bigot? My bad, that's the culture of the people of Asksa. Whatever. I just don't understand it. I'm a gaijin, bro. Always will be. Okay, what to do here? What to do here? This needs to all get repaired, and I don't think this guy has repair abilities. If I'm not, I am mistaken. Okay, we'll go repair that then. The rest of this looks fine. The exits here, honestly, we could just take the exit, but so long as we're able to keep a defensible position, I think we should just keep opening doors, honestly. And then once the position is less defensible, then we can run. Because more food is good for me, I believe. Okay, so now we're getting worrisome levels of dark here, but I don't want to move anybody off of their operating. So what I can do is this. No, I'm not going to do it. What should I do here? I don't want to open the top one, or we'll get somebody coming in through here. I guess I'll keep opening this stuff. I think there's a slow thing here, though. Whatever, he has a speed up ability. I can tell if you're a fan of Soul Eater, the Fire Force ending is pretty neat. Okay, that kind of makes me excited. Oh, you know what the last thing I remember is? They go off to China. And China has one of those emergency generator thingies. Like Amaterasu. Fuck. That is the last thing that I remember. I need to get him the fuck out of there, actually. Oh my god. Oh my god. Who else is getting hurt? Oh, this guy. Fuck him, dude. Oh, I didn't use his Command and Conquer thing. Attack player plus in a heroes. If the hero is in this room, is in a room without monsters. How is that helpful? Oh, if this hero is in a room without monsters, maybe I should just enable it. I think he's got it, or she's got it. No, I should activate it. I shouldn't be stingy with that, honestly. There should probably be a healing thing in here as well. A little too late, I think. Okay. Oh well. But yeah, I really like Soul Eater, so maybe I would appreciate that. I don't know. I'm also going to put more stopping power here and fortify this little area here. And I think that will be a defensible position. As long as this is defensible, I want to keep going with opening rooms and stuff, because every round I'm getting more food. And I spent a lot of my food thinking that I would keep doing this for a while, and then I found the exit, so I think that I'll just keep going as long as I can here. Okay. Ah, leave me alone. Hey, stop. Whatever, he'll handle that. Should we keep building here? We'll put something here. Not really much else to do. I think once I build something here, I'll open this store and fuck around with that, but this is worrisome. It makes it hard to run back. Once stuff starts spawning here, like, I run the risk of dying on the way. Yeah, like right now. Okay, let's speed everything up. And I believe his ability should be... No, it's not yet. Okay. Jesus, they do so much damage. Does she not have, like, any useful, like, defense stuff? This is HP max and unlocks Rabble Rouser. What is Rabble Rouser? Heroes in the room defense +7. I don't need this. I think she needs this more. I could give this to Hikensha, which I'll probably do. Or his name might be Hikensha. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it. Third season ramps up and should be pretty good. Just looked and you're at about episode 30 out of 48. Yeah, like I'm nearly there, bro. I'm nearly there. Almost there. I'll be there soon. There really should be a healing thing in here, probably, but I'm a cheap bastard. Oh, they broke my shit. Fuck. I probably should have defended this. It's rough because they have the fucking... Whatever. I'll let them run through there quick and then I'll defend in that room with a hero. Okay, this is the last door I'm comfortable opening on this side. Where